flag to flag. Tonight looks no different as our drivers are set for 300 laps around this 7/8 mile racetrack located in the heart of corn country. Hello and welcome to the Endeavor Derby 300 live from Iowa Speedway. You're watching the Virtual Grip Network as we bring you exclusive coverage of this 300 lap battle to see who is the King Colonel. I'm Austin Belke, joined in the booth by J.R. Shepard and Kenny Gibby with our director Ryan Seneker in the production trailer. You can see some fast facts about the Speedway, but J.R., what else can you tell us about Iowa Speedway?
Well, Austin, this place opened back in 2006, and it was partially influenced by Rusty Wallace, the great from NASCAR. This place is a 7/8 mile D-shaped oval that is progressively banked and is sure to bring intense racing as drivers will battle from the bottom all the way up to the top in turns 1 and 2. In turns 3 and 4, you'll even see some guys go all the way up against the wall as the tires start to wear. This place allows the driver to really move around, but also tire management will become crucial and fuel strategy will likely come into play. If any of these first 3 ELE races this year are anything to go by, guys. But speaking of strategy, Kenny, what does the fuel and the tire window look like here tonight?
Yeah, guys, so tonight expect a fuel window of about 85 to 90 green flag laps. You could see that extended if we have some cautions in there. 7 sets of tires are available to the drivers tonight, so if you were going to split it up even, that equates to about 43 laps per set of tires. So you do need to make those tires last a decent bit of time before you come in the pit. Also, it's going to be over 20 seconds per pit stop just for 4 sets of tires, maybe even longer with fuel, so you're really going to have to pick and choose when to come in under yellow, and it could be affected if your decision could be affected based on where you're running in the field. This is a little bit bigger than an average short track, this being a 7/8 mile, but still, you can't be running towards tail end of the pack or else you may end up going a lap down.
Thanks, Kenny. Guys, we've got about maybe a minute and a half left of the warm-up before we go here into the race. And JR, as a driver, what are you out there trying to do right now? No doubt you've had a ton of practice this week, and of course, even practice before this. This room was open for 2 hours for that purpose especially. But what else can you find out here as the lap ticked down?
Yeah, exactly right, Austin. Like you talked about, a 2-hour practice before this. That is crucial information to the guys that spent the entire time out there. They are going to get to see how that track progressed and changed. That's going to be important because as this race goes on, this track will change. It will rubber up. There will be marbles on the racetrack in certain areas. So these guys that figure that out early will have an advantage. Also, these super late models, we don't talk about aerodynamics a whole lot, but tonight it will come into play. I think the guy the driver, that moves around the most and is able to find alternative lines to run may be the one that wins the race tonight.
For sure. We've got about 40 seconds left here in practice. And Kenny, from what you can see from the tire wear right now, does it drop off really fast? Or are these guys going to have to come down pit road maybe not even all that often if they want to get a fresh set of feel goods?
I think you'll see drivers kind of try to feel this one out. I mean, it's a decently large field here, but a really long race. So I think, if I'm a driver starting in the middle of the pack, the tail end, I'm going to try to gain some track position. If I feel like passing is going to be really difficult, I might stay out for a few cautions, get some good track position, and you might see some pit strategy kind of flip-flop the field multiple times today based on when drivers decide to pit. But if passing is something that can be done pretty easily, you might see drivers take more chances on the pit strategy and go to the back more often.
Thank you, Kenny. And now with the end of warm-up here, we have about a couple minutes to run through the starting grid. As you can see, David Krikorian won the pole, so he'll start in the 4th position, followed by Matthew Thunhorst, who starts to his outside in 2nd. Stephen Moore lines up in 3rd, followed by Justin Morton in the 15 car in 4th. Michael Stroll lines up in 5th, and Blake Gordon lines up in 6th. Cody Smith starts 7th, with Brandon Bernhardt in 8th. Daniel Foss lines up in 9th. And Kenny, who do we got in 10th?
That's Michael Krobach, the number 72 car, starting in 10th.
Dennis Fairclough lines up in 11th place, followed by Jeffrey Stanton in 12th. Carl Henderson lines up in 13th position, followed by William Boomer Logan in 14th. Chad Mikus in the 25 lines up in 15th, followed by Blake Trawick in 16th. Matt Telder lines up in 17th, followed by Braxton DeWeese in 18th. Jacob Fife in 19th. Josh Laston rounds out the top 20.
Yeah, starting 21st tonight, we have Casey Shue in the 4 car. Alongside him in the 84 will be Kyle Cooper tonight. Starting 23rd is Adam Wood. Alongside him is the great Matt Shanoski. Rolling off in 25th, we have Brandon Wingard. 26th tonight will be D.W. Wright. Starting in the 27th position is Jonathan Gervin. Alongside him in 28th will be Jacob Gladulich. 29th will be Kevin Haas. And starting 30th, rounding out your field tonight, will be John Gordon in the 19 car.
Thanks, JR. Drivers now out there pacing. See a lot of the super late models out there. You got teammates there in first and third. Both those drivers' teammates, the 66 car and then the 69 car, Stephen Moore. Nice paint job on those machines. Matt Thunhorse electing to take an EOL penalty. That's going to move Justin Morton on the top row up into the first row. Very interesting to see what that EOL penalty was for. I don't know if that's a penalty being served or a penalty being asked to be taken. We'll have to see, though. Lights should be going out across the top of the iRacing pace car this time by. So we'll be going green the next time we come by the start-finish line. The iRacing, restart zone is in effect for tonight, so we'll have a pretty clear idea of when drivers will be able to put their feet down on the loud pedal, I should say, as they come out of turns 3 and 4. The man in charge of doing that right now, David Krikorian in the number 66 machine.
And I believe, didn't Matt Thunhorse take the EOL voluntarily for the last ELE event, and we saw he made a lot of ground up pretty quickly and was able to fight for the victory in the last one.
Sure did, but this time, I think crucially, there is no sponsor award for the driver that gains the most positions or does that kind of front to back to front thing again before the end of this race and finishes back in the top 5. Regardless, though, the iRacing pace car makes a hard left turn down pit road. All eyes now shift to David Krikorian. He puts his foot down on the loud pedal, screams the cars down into turns 1 and 2 for the first time out of 300 here tonight. Might not even be 300. We do have the opportunity for one single green-white checkered if these drivers can't get it cleanly through the last couple laps here tonight. They're too wide for the first couple rows there as they go down the backstretch.
Yeah, the top 2 already single filing out, running the line that they're wanting to run, still side by side from third on back. Guys are starting to search around as they're back in the pack, trying to find out where they need to be running.
I'll be really interested here to see which line Justin Morton chooses to take. He's going to be about 1 lane off the bottom. This time by, though, I was interested because he no longer had pole sitter David Krikorian down to his inside, so he had the opportunity to kind of choose where he wanted to run. And Kenny, we talk about aero advantage on these cars so much, even in BRL competition, because they have a splitter on the front end.
Yeah, I mean, you get really stuck behind someone and you can really wash the front end out, and these fixed setups on these super late models generally are on the tighter side. At least they'll build tight as the run goes on. These first few laps, though, pretty sensitive, especially on throttle, loose on throttle. You want to really avoid any kind of tire spin, especially these first few laps. But yeah, you get right up behind somebody and you can physically feel the loss of downforce. So you have to back up your corner and really try to poke your nose either to the left or the right of the car in front of you to get some fresh air onto the nose of that super late.
It really just gives you more of a tight feeling as the race goes on. Up at the front of the field, we're a single file for about the first 10 or so cars. The first side-by-side battle is pretty deep. That's for about the 10th position. This is riding on board off the back bumper of pole sitter David Krikorian. Looking back at the number 15 car, the TDM machine of Justin Morton.
Yeah, and the one thing you can see, guys, watching this, you see Justin, he's always taking an alternative line. We know how he runs. He's getting a great run doing the over-under through 3 and 4. It's something you can do here at Iowa Speedway, and he's going to get that run down the front straightaway.
Yeah, Justin always one of the best drivers at putting the throttle down just enough to get the car to accelerate out of the corner, but not too much as to spin the rear tires coming up off of it. You're going to see, wow, David Krikorian got a really good run on the high side there.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about this track. Turns 3 and 4, you can make the high side or the bottom work, but as the run goes on, turns 1 and 2 ends up being a more middle line racetrack, and that's what David Krikorian just showed us right there.
Yeah, so now we'll see what Justin Morton can do if he wants to take the lead away here sooner than later. You see he's going to continue to get closer and closer to David as the laps go down. And guys, Michael Stroll's already up a good couple positions here since the drop of the green flag. Excuse me, no, he started in 5th. He's still running there. That's my bad.
He's always a top runner in these endurance league events that they put on. Another guy that I've kind of been watching for is Kenny's friend, Michael Krobach. We know how great he is at saving tires. He's not making any kind of big moves right now, but we know that as this run goes on, assuming we stay green, he'll slowly start to move forward.
Yeah, I was talking about there, Brandon Bernhardt. He's already gone up 2 positions, looking pretty racy back there, especially. You can see that's the 11 car of Cody Smith, just there ahead of Michael Krobach. And look at that old John Andretti paint scheme. Oh, almost looks like a throwback to him there. Of course, I believe that's being driven by Jeffrey Stanton, number 61 car.
Yeah, that's absolutely great to point out, Austin. I love the throwback paint schemes, especially when it's thrown back to somebody like John Andretti, that petty car that he drove and was able to get a win in. That was very cool to see.
Yeah, Michael Stroh, though, looking all over the rear end here of Stephen Moore, teammate, of course, to David Krikorian, the 66. Looking to see if he can't go around the outside here in turns 1 and 2 like David did to Justin. He's got it now, his nose up there, and especially turns 3 and 4, you want to be on the high side because of that progressive banking as the run goes on.
Yeah, definitely. These cars, just like Kenny said in the opening, they tend to go to the tight side running these iRacing default setups. We're already on lap 11. You can see some guys are already struggling running that lower line. You really need a free car to make that work. And we see some of these guys going way up top in turns 1 and 2 already.
Yeah, speaking of which, I got a couple of things to announce here. Some sponsors, throwing some money into the pot here. Below the Double Yellow Line League, they're going to put in $25 for the driver leading at the completion of lap 150, of course, the halfway award. And I really like this next one here. Wood Hill Supply, they're going to pay $10 to the highest finisher who completes the race with 0x. It'll be very hard to do here, as Michael Stroh pointed out here in his sponsorship notes before the start of the race, but I really like the opportunity there. And, of course, 10 questions with Boomer Logan. That's become a weekly questionnaire used for people to get to know each other better within the sim community. The winner of the race to be interviewed at a later date, and also they put up $20 for the event. Whoever is running 10th at the end of lap 100 is going to receive $10, and again for whomever is running 10th at the end of lap 200. So pretty cool stuff going on here. And of course the payout for the winner, $50. Second place gets $20, and third place gets $10. So lots of money here on the line.
Yeah, definitely cool when we have these special events and you have that money on the line, especially money that promotes being a clean driver. I really like that they put that one out there. So a great job by this league being able to promote that and get all these different sponsors to take place in it.
Looking here at Michael Krobach, getting down to the inside there of the 81 car. That's Brandon Bernhardt. So move Krobach up one more position. And now look behind him, that John Andretti-esque scheme. Jeffrey Stanton looks to the inside there, not quite able to pull off the position move.
One thing you're seeing a lot right now is a lot of give and take. You'll see drivers kind of peek to the inside of another, and the driver on the high side is giving a ton of room and not fighting a whole lot if they know the driver behind is faster. But as this race progresses on, you'll see drivers on the top line decide to pinch off the driver on the inside, give less and less room, and will stay on the outside and fight them. That's going to make passing harder and harder to accomplish riding around on the bottom.
Yeah, look at those cars. 3 different lines there from Matt Teldon, Daniel Foss, Boomer Logan there. One on the top, one in the middle, one on the bottom. They're going to continue to do that in turns 3 and 4. And Jared, it's so much fun to race around here side by side with somebody. I know you and I had a phenomenal battle in the trucks here just a couple months ago.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, being designed by a race car driver, it is a driver's track. It is meant to promote different lines of racing and give you options while you're out there. And it's exactly what we're seeing. Guys are able to run different lines. And a lot of it depends on your driving style. Some guys will be extremely good on the bottom, and some will be able to rip the top side. It's just great racing. We've seen Dennis Faircloth here. He's been running extremely high, especially down here in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, look at him. He's that bright car, number 80, almost all the way up the track here. He's been the highest running driver in terms of track, lane, almost since the green flag dropped in that bright colored 80 machine. And he's just been kind of ripping up there in the high line. This is a look back up here. This is Michael Stroll, the 38 machine, that AC Delco car. Love the headlights on this machine. Did a phenomenal job locating those and kind of putting those together, trying to take away the last podium position there from Blake Gordon.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Stroll's won one of these races. He knows how to get the job done. He's not doing anything fancy, but he is at the point of this run about 20 laps in where he's showing that he still has good tire wear left, and he's making the most of it right now, guys.
Oh yeah, Michael Stroll has always been one of those drivers who does a really good job at conserving his tires, especially throughout a run. So it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of long run pace he has. Whoa, he just kind of blips the throttle a little bit too much coming off the corner, spins the rear axle, gets a little bit too sideways there, Kenny.
Yeah, he does, and these few drivers back outside the top 10, I've noticed, have gotten really loose a few times. Really need to be careful about that because it can really accelerate the tire wear when you heat up those tires. And I wanted to ask JR a question about these drivers, some of them that are going at riding high up the racetrack. With these setups being generally on the tight side, or at least predictably on the tight side, will the middle corner speed being higher in the high line, will that lead to accelerated tire wear if you move up to the high line too early?
Yeah, it definitely can, but more than anything, it's how you're driving that line that can lead to that accelerated tire wear. If you're somebody that's going to be up there trying to rip the top, really getting back to the throttle hard and early, then yeah, you're going to make that right front tire get hotter and hotter, and you're going to make it just more and more upset, and the car's just going to get even tighter. A lot of times in those type of races, I like to run down toward the bottom just because that forces me to wait to get back onto the throttle, in return helping me save that right front tire.
Interesting. You can see here a lot more drivers now starting to single file out. Talk about Dennis Fairclough. He's been falling through the field just a little bit as you see Matthew Thunhorst continue to make his climb. Good old Mr. Evie, the number 8 car, the Alliance yellow on top, white on the bottom, kind of pokeball looking-esque. He chose to take an EOL at the start of this race. He's now climbed all the way up to 14th position, so a little bit more than halfway up through the field, and of course we're only on lap 24.
Yeah, definitely a long way to go, and you're going to have a lot of comers and goers at the start of this race. After we get through that first pit stop, we're really going to kind of know who's going to be in contention for this thing moving forward. But a lot of laps, Austin, 300 laps. If you can't keep your car clean during this race, you're going to have a long, long night ahead of you.
Well, especially, too, right now, this is about the easiest time you're going to have to pass somebody because the green flag just dropped. This is a new race. Everybody's going to start off on the same footing in terms of they've all got 300 laps to drive before this thing gets called official and the checkered flag waves. Oh, I might see a couple drivers there. Looks like Casey Shu. No, that's Daniel Foss there all the way down in the mountain. Looked like he might have had a little bit of a moment there coming off of turn 4.
Yeah, the cars are not handling great right now, and the one thing, like we talked about, this Speedway promotes side-by-side racing, so more than likely you're going to be around guys for a good amount of time while your car is not handling well. And one of the spots is right there on the track coming off of turn 4. It is very easy to push up into that outside wall on corner exit, especially when you're around another car. 300 laps, these guys have to be careful. They have to pay attention to that each and every lap so they keep their right front fender clean.
Yeah, it's really hard, especially to make some kind of move there down at the bottom because the track really starts to fall away in terms of the banking. It's really easy to lose the rear end of these cars. I almost kind of equate this place to maybe a little bit more of a Rockingham. It feels like it's a little bit larger, and of course, not banked quite as aggressively, especially not in turns 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is kind of equal, but still just not quite as awesome looking as Rockingham.
Yeah, definitely not. Rockingham's one of my favorite tracks just because of the type of racing it promotes and the type of driver it takes. But this is a very close second for sure. The tires do wear out. You can move around, and it's more about the driver here than it is the car setup.
Yeah, Ryan, if we could take a look here at the number 36 Pontiac driven by Jacob Fife. He's got Matthew Thunhorst just behind him. He's trying to see if he can't get around here. Daniel Foss just ahead, that number 83 machine.
Yeah, Fife bringing out the extinct Pontiac, so I'm liking the look of that. That's one of my favorites that I've noticed so far in the broadcast. 30 laps in, a lot of cool race cars that I'm getting used to seeing for the first time. We all are up here in the booth, but we've seen in the Discord for this ELE stuff that drivers really pay very close attention to the paint schemes that they bring to these special events, and it definitely shows a lot of well-done paint schemes to every one of these, and they all seem to be different every single time one of these ELE events happens.
Look at it. This is riding on board here with Jacob Fife, and you can see, Kenny, these guys are extremely busy throughout a lap here. You can see just ahead of Jacob there, Daniel Foss gets a little bit loose. That might allow Matthew Thunderhorse to get to his outside. Whoa, look at that big loose moment there in the middle of 3 and 4.
Yeah, he almost got into the side of the 83 of Daniel Foss. Had to kind of check up, and when he did that, kind of de-wedged the car and really got the 36 car loose. It was a good save by Jacob Fife there. One of the few times we've seen 3 wide in this event so far, but yeah, a few of these drivers really having to play with the wheel throughout the corners here, and you got to minimize that. Got to try to be as smooth as possible throughout the entire corner around here.
JR, what are some ways that you kind of just mentally tell yourself to be smoother? Is it just try less, or just enter the corner a little bit, slower than you normally would, and just kind of try to hold a pretty wheel?
That's a lot of things, to be honest with you, and it's a mindset thing more than anything, because as each driver has their own driving style, they want to tug on that wheel a certain amount. But as you see that wears out your tires, you have to adjust and make yourself not do that. So as you go into the corner, you turn the steering wheel a little bit less, you get on the throttle, or get off the throttle, a little bit earlier, and get on the throttle a little bit later. And that's ways that you can kind of combat some of the stuff that's going on. One thing I kind of saw with these cars, and we see it on the local short tracks as well, is these things are a little bit tight going into the corner. People put a lot of wheel into it, and then we get that action that we saw on board a minute ago where the car jumps sideways. It's a push loose condition, and if you don't correct that with the wheel and your throttle very early, that's just going to lead to a very terrible handling car at the end of the run.
Getting here closer and closer to lap 35. I had the opportunity to talk to Matthew Thunderhorse before the start of this race, and he mentioned about 20 laps into a run, these guys are going to fall off anywhere between 3/4 to a half of a second per lap as they keep going. So guys, in a couple laps here, wouldn't be too surprised to see some guys start thinking about making a pit stop, or at least wondering what happens if we go green for too long. Of course, Kenny, the total fuel window, it's about 85 to 90 laps green flag, so we don't really expect to see anybody down onto pit road until we get to about lap 70 green flag talking.
Yeah, and really, honestly, most of these drivers are probably going to be dreading making that tough decision to make a green flag pit stop because, again, how long these pit stops will take, and just in general, this being not a huge racetrack, even if they were quick pit stops, you would still plan on going at least 1 lap down, possibly 2, even in like a regular NASCAR series. But it's going to be a tough decision for these drivers to make any green flag stops. But on top of that as well, leaders are starting to get into some lap traffic, so some drivers already facing the challenge of going a lap down before they even get a chance to pit anyway.
Running on board here, this is Cody Smith looking out over his hood as he tries to see if he can't get down to the inside of Blake Gordon, number 13 car just ahead of him. You saw one lap car way up towards the top there. I believe that was D.W. Wright. Made it really easy for him to get by those guys. See everybody going mostly towards the bottom, really bottom feeding in turns 1 and 2 as the race goes on, and then 3 and 4, of course, these drivers are more apt to kind of spread out, but still bottom feeding for the most part, these drivers in 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yeah, I think right now guys have kind of determined where their tire wear is. This is the first run. They've experimented a little bit, and a lot of guys have probably wore out the rear tires, to be honest with you, trying to keep that wheel turned and then getting back on the throttle. We see a lot of guys getting loose from the center off. So because of that, I think a lot of guys have just chosen to go to the bottom to try to get through this run. That just makes you, it kind of forces you to run the car differently, slow the car down, and not use as much throttle. And I think guys are just doing that just to get through this run.
Side by side there, that's Matt Thunderhorst on the bottom. The number 2 car, Matt Telder, up on the high side. They're going to come side by side off of turn 2. Thunderhorst doing a really good job to maintain control, especially of the rear axle off of turn 2. He's going to get pinched just a little bit there to the bottom side. Not where you want to be, of course. Progressive banking, JR, that means is you go further up the track, there's a little bit more banking the higher you go, just to help hold the car there.
Yeah, absolutely. This track has 12 degrees of banking on the very bottom. If you go to the top side, you're all the way up to 14 degrees. We see some guys scraping the wall down the back straightaway there, getting just a little too close.
It was Stephen Moore.
Yeah, there's another one.
Another guy.
You definitely don't want to do that. We got 300 laps. You need to keep the fenders on these cars to promote that downforce that you need.
Be really interesting to see as the race goes on if those drivers who continue to make just a little bit of contact there with the wall, if they lose any kind of speed as the night goes on. You can see a little bit of a move there looking. You see the 11 car there. It's Cody Smith still trying to see if he can't get down and around the number 13 car. That's Blake Gordon just ahead, that red number 13 car.
Yeah, it's aggravating, Austin, like you talked about the progressive banking. You can be faster than the guy in front of you, but if he's running that perfect line and is up in the taller banking, he's just able to get back to the throttle earlier than you are, and in return, it's going to cost him a position here. He's actually going to fall behind Krobach, who's making that topside work.
Yeah, look at Krobach here, really ready to take advantage depending on what goes on there.
So far, guys, seeing a range of about 5/10 to a second.
Yellow flag out on the racetrack.
I was just about to say about 5/10 to a second of tire fall off, which is not really a whole lot in 45 laps, but that's all we hear here.
Looks like we're now getting word from director producer Ryan Seneca that Trawick might have had an off track here. You can see him just ahead of the leaders there. That little bit of a biffed up car. Oh wow!
That's exactly what I was talking about up off of turn 4, Austin. If you miss that and push up into that wall, it is brutal. I did not expect it to be that brutal in the super late model, but definitely way up and over and took some guys with him.
Yeah, those cars climbing up the wall, and of course they're going to slam back down to the inside wall. I think 1 or 2 cars might do that unless they lock it down fast enough. This is another replay. Slams the outside wall and climbs it. Slew of cars coming down pit road here, Kenny.
Yeah, it looks like just about all of the lead lap cars are going to come down here, and this is pretty much average as far as splitting up the race into even stints on your tires. So no surprise here to see just about everybody coming down, and they're going to most likely have a full service here and put some fuel in while they're at it. Drivers entering their pit boxes now.
We're going to continue to show these cars as they come off of pit lane. We are going to go side by side, though, head to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
The AOLL began online racing with Papyrus' NASCAR racing in the mid-1990s and is still going strong 27 plus years later on the iRacing platform. The AOLL offers racing action on 3 nights a week. Wednesdays is the Sportsman Series, Thursday TNT Series, and Sunday Cup Series with league veterans and Class A drivers. For more information on the AOLL, visit us at AOLLRacingLeague.com.
Welcome back to the Endeavor Derby 300 live from Iowa Speedway. You're watching the Virtual Group Network. We're here on lap 48 of 300. Since the drop of the green flag, there's been one man in command of the race. That has been the number 66 car of David Krikorian. However, there's been a bit of a swap, though, since coming off of pit road. It looks like his teammate Stephen Moore in the number 69 car did a nice job to get a faster pit stop and go in there and take the lead. So had a bit of a lead change. Justin Morton started the race in second, of course, with Matt Funhorst taking an EOL. So moved Justin back into third place. And speaking of the man that took the EOL, Matt Funhorst finds himself in sixth position. Did a really good job to gain probably about, 8 positions on pit road there, guys.
And it looks like there's quite a span of pit times. Some have been 15 to 16 seconds. Others have been 20 to 22 seconds. So that could be a huge amount of spots, either plus or minus, throughout this race, depending on how pit strategy goes here. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
Lights are out atop the iRacing pace car. No, they're still on, actually. Might have had another pace lap here. It's very odd to see the drivers doubled up here for 2 laps in a row, so there must have been something to trigger another pace lap here, but they should go out this time by. Indeed they have, so we are going to go green flag racing the next time by. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank all of our sponsors here. Got a lot of different companies and organizations throwing more money into this pot for different things. That's what I always love about these different races. You don't just get money if you win the race. There's a lot of other different niche ideas that I think are always pretty cool. Big Evil Designs, they're going to pay out $15 to whoever gets voted the best paint scheme of the race. Of course, that'll be decided by us here at the Virtual Group Network booth, but if you fans at home, we've got a live chat option on YouTube. If you think one car looks a lot better than the others, go ahead and put your ideas there into the chat. We'll be making sure to look at those. And of course, below the Double Yellow League, they're going to pay $25 to the driver that leads at the completion of lot 150. What he'll supply is going to pay $10 to the highest driver who completes the race 0x. Got a couple of drivers still with the opportunity to do with that. A couple drivers no longer have that opportunity. iRacing pace car comes back down pit road. Green flag flies through the air once again. 69, 66 cars at the front of the field. Justin Morton hoping he can slot back there into 3rd position. He's going to have the bottom. Looks like the first 4 cars are going to be single file before we even get off at turn 2 towards the backstretch. Look at Matt Thunhorse. He's going to be 2x2 with Michael Stroll. That's 6 cars now, all single file.
Everybody fighting to get down to the bottom of the track early here, except for Thunhorst. He's continuing to run that top side through 3 and 4 to try to get a run down the front straightaway.
Kenny, sometimes it's not always a death sentence if you find yourself up on the high line. It can really give you an opportunity to maybe get yourself some clean air as everybody really just kind of migrates down to the bottom as soon as the green flag flies once again.
Yeah, and I mean, really, the first few corners or laps, too, you're going to have a good amount of grip no matter what line you're running here in these super late models. So I think you can make either line work here for at least a little bit of time, but you do want to find yourself in the preferred line eventually. Another thing you won't have to deal with on the top side is the big bump that we haven't really talked about in turns 1 and 2. Bottom side is a decent-sized bump down there, so avoiding that can definitely help smoother lap on the restart anyway.
Make that now 8 closer to 10 drivers, all single file out. These guys are doing a really good job to make sure they kind of get everything squared away before too long and really just kind of maximize their chances of being around at the end and crucially being able to finish the race with 0x. But boy, it doesn't seem like Stephen Moore has quite the initial pace as his teammate did to just kind of drive away from the field. Look at Justin Morton trying to see if he can make a move around the top side. Not going to get close enough to get that too wide call. He's going to stick at it, though.
Yeah, he did make him look on the front straightaway and made him pull down just enough that Justin got a great run entering turn 1. And yeah, he has got a huge run down the back straightaway.
What he can do, they're going to be dead even as they go into the center of turns 3 and 4. It looks like Morton might have the position now. This is classic Justin Morton moves right here. He's going to clear himself.
Yeah, doing a great job, but he's not done. He's going to go after the leader here, guys. So he's continuing to work that second lane. He's going to get a big run off of turn 2. Might be able to make a move down the back straightaway. Chooses not to.
Yeah, if I know Justin Morton, he is not one to rest on his laurels. As soon as he gets one position, he's going to be looking at the next one. Look at that gain he gets just to the center. Really able to roll the center of turns 3 and 4 really nicely there. Gets around to the outside of Stephen Moore. Moore leads that last lap, but Justin Morton now, he has an opportunity to get the lead as they go down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Justin wants that lead after this first pit stop.
Moore got a little bit loose on the bottom. Look at the 13 car.
Great save by these guys. They're really racing hard, but they're doing a great job on the rig.
Got really loose, slid down the track, Kenny.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing about this Iowa Speedway is that, a good thing if you're attacking, a bad thing if you're defending. Drivers can make multiple lines work here, so you might defend one line, but it leaves you susceptible to giving up the spot in a different line. So Justin Morton able to make that high line work and able to pull away here. Thunhorst, his buddy there in 3rd place, possibly looking to join him up in 2nd, and maybe they will run away from the field.
Yeah, speaking of comers and goers, Matt Thunhorst continues to be on the attack. Having to defend, though, continues to defend the number 69 car of Stephen Moore. Look at Matt Thunhorst really hustling that car up off the corner. Man, Stephen Moore, David Kikorian got really loose there coming off of turn 2, relinquishes the position there to Matt Thunhorst, slots himself back into 3rd position.
Yeah, and one thing I'm seeing here, guys, a lot of the guys that are getting passed up front, they're not really fighting to get to that top lane. They're continuing to stay down low. I think they're saving their tires early in this run so they have something to work with later in the run. It does look like here tonight we're going to get some good long runs in.
Another two-wide battle on the screen here. That's Cody Smith in the 11 car. He's trying to see if he can't get the position here in the 81 of Brandon Burkhart. Looks like he's going to get that position done.
You see things starting to already kind of spread out. Lots of single file racing like what we had in the first run. And if the first run's any indication, we might have some decently long green flag runs in this race.
At the front of the field, Matthew Thunhorst continues to get closer and closer to Justin Morton. Gets a really good run there off of turn 2. Now pokes to his inside. They're going to be too wide heading into turns 3 and 4. Thunhorst on the bottom, Morton on the top. This time by, it looks like it's still going to be Justin Morton who leads the lap, but just barely over Matthew Thunhorst. And crucially, Thunhorst is still on the bottom.
Yeah, you can see entering turn 1 there, Justin continuing to work that outside line. He loses ground entering the corner, but he's able to get it turned back down and make a good run up off of turn 2. The same thing kind of applies here to 3 and 4. You'll see Justin get that big run up off of turn 4 and be able to continue to lead the lap here.
That time by, it was Thunhorst who led the lap. Justin Morton now relinquishes the lead to him. He's going to continue, though, to fight him up top. It's not over for these two. Morton now finally gives up and kind of just gives up the ghost. Now going to slot back. Oh, check that. He's going to challenge it back to the inside.
Yeah, Thunhorst trying to throw the car in there and get to the outside. He gave up that inside line, allowed Justin to get back there, but ultimately he gains that outside line that seems to carry so much momentum up off the corner, and I believe he will try to clear him here through 3 and 4 if Justin is not able to stay right side by side with him.
Justin did a really good job to just kind of blip the throttle and kind of make sure to catch back up to Matt Thunhorst. But crucially, Thunhorst is able to open the wheel just a little bit further. Whoa, look out for the lap car down on the bottom, guys.
Don't look now, but Michael Stroll's found himself all of a sudden in 3rd place. He's gotten by the two teammates of Moore and Krikorian.
This is a replay here. This is, whoa, look at that big old slide there coming off of turn 4.
And that was Kevin Haas, and he was able to keep it going. And that's one thing we will notice sometimes here at Iowa Speedway. Drivers will spin into the grass and not cause a caution. Good job by him to keep the car going, but he ended up going a lap down as a result.
Yeah, he must have done that twice because this time in the replay, he's not being passed by the leaders, so he must have done that about 1 lap or 2 later.
And now he's disconnected, so Haas out of this race.
That's the 2nd time he did it. Man, went free an even earlier slide. But yeah, crucially, he's disconnected from the race, and now we go back live. It's still Matthew Thunhorst in command of the race in the number 8 machine. He's got Justin Morton just behind him, and Michael Stroll continues to climb through the field. Let's see if Stroll's got anything for these guys. Oh, 1 car in the wall just a little bit.
Justin getting just a little too high, but yeah, we're looking at Stroll, and he's trying to find a way around Justin here. He's going to be looking slightly offset in the corners to try to maintain some air. You see him going a little bit higher entering turn 3 just to try to keep that air on there, and then he's going to try to turn back down the track and get a run down the straightaway here.
Oh, watch out for Krikorian just behind him. Sorry, JR.
Yeah, but by doing that, that allowed Krikorian to really get a run on him, and he got on the throttle just a little bit too hard and got his car loose. These two are now going to battle.
Well, JR, I was just going to ask, he's doing a really good job to make sure he gets clean air on the nose, but he's giving up the bottom, which for right now in these fresh tires is kind of where you want to be.
Yeah, it's very tricky, especially at this track that promotes such good side-by-side racing. If you move up off of the preferred line at any given point during the run, you're going to have a guy get to your inside or outside, and then you're in trouble because you're going to be fighting hard and using your tires up more than you want to.
2-car battle you're seeing on your screen. This is for the 7th position. This is Jacob Fife trying to pry away that spot for the number 2 car. Matt Tallader just to his outside. Looks like he's going to get the advantage here coming off of turn 4, but it's just so much easier, Kenny, for the guy on the outside to get on that boost of momentum going down the straightaway.
Yeah, the high line definitely going to have the momentum, and especially if he wants to pinch the low side driver down, he can really make the driver on the bottom side sacrifice his exit speed. But it looks like Fife is going to be able to clear on entry into turn 3. And other than Matt Thunhorst, Jacob Fife is the highest mover of the race thus far. Up, it looks like 12 places.
There.
So, yeah, it looks like he's coming back on Fife there. I'm kind of surprised. Thought he was going to kind of slip into line, but he's kind of experimenting a little bit with the other line. But Michael Krobach looking in behind as we have a battle up towards the front for third. Stroll, who found himself in third, is now defending that spot.
Yeah, speaking of coming back, Stroll made his way around Krikorian, and now Krikorian is trying to challenge back. So this might have been Michael Stroll kind of using up the good on those tires a little bit too early, Kenny.
Yeah, it could be. Sometimes if there's a decent gap up ahead of you too, sometimes it becomes more difficult to make really good lap time when you don't have a car right in front of you as a reference. If you have a gap in front, you might actually start slowing down. And or it could have been a case where Krikorian and Moore maybe made a few mistakes and Stroll was able to get by, and now Krikorian again able to get back around for that third spot. And we know Krikorian's fast. He just needs to settle in here and go chase after the 2 leaders.
Speaking of the 2 leaders, up front it's still Matthew Thunhorst to the tune of about 0.4 of a second. Then it's Justin Morton in second position by closer to a half a second this last time by. 1.2 seconds back from the leader is David Krikorian in third position. So that's your look at the podium positions right now. Michael Stroll looks like he continues to be on just a little bit of a backward slide. He might have just overheated those tires a little bit too much too early, JR.
Yeah, it's easy to do, and like we talked about, these super late models, they tend to be a little bit tight and get a little tighter as the run goes on, and like we talked about, that just makes you want to turn that steering wheel a little bit more, and as you do, you go to get back on the throttle and you get that push loose condition, really burns the rear tires off in these cars. And once you do that, you're just going to have to back your lap time down. That is all that you can do, because your tires are extremely hot. You've got to get them cooled back down about 30, 40, 50 degrees sometimes just to get some more grip back in them. And when you do that, you lose a ton of time, a ton of spots on the racetrack.
Hard to believe sometimes these tires can handle being overheated, even 40 or 50 degrees Fahrenheit on the racetrack. You see Jeffrey Stanton, trying to see if he can't make his way there around the driver just ahead of him. Now our eyes transition back. This is the battle between Kyle Cooper and Dennis Faircloth. 84 on the bottom, 80 car up top.
Yeah, and that's someplace he's been running. Faircloth likes running that outside line, and he's been doing it very well, being very consistent with his lap times. Look how high he's going through turns 1 and 2. I kind of expect that through 3 and 4, but man, wall riding through turns 1 and 2 already.
Yeah, that's something we're going to see as the day transitions further and further in tonight, especially as the runs get longer and longer, I'd say, JR.
Yeah, the cars are going to continue to move up throughout the run, the guys that are really good at doing it, like we're watching the 80 car here. The one thing you have to be careful about is there's a lot of marbles that are getting put up there. So the first couple of times you go up there, the car is going to react very differently. It can be very, very slick those first few times. Once you ease through that, you will find some grip, and that can be one of the fastest ways around this racetrack.
Yeah, it looks like Dennis doing a really good job to keep himself kind of just maintained in that high line. It's so easy, Kenny, to overdrive that line and find yourself up in the wall before too long.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because the key to running the high line is maximum throttle. The more you're on the throttle, the more momentum that you'll be able to carry down these straightaways. So, got to make sure you firstly don't enter the corner too quickly to push up into the wall. And then as you get back on the throttle, you have to make sure you don't push up into that outside wall, because you don't have a whole lot of leeway there the higher and higher up the track you go. So Faircloth is making it work. He's been experimenting with some lines running really all over the track. And JR, I'm noticing a lot of drivers throughout the field have just been experimenting. You're not seeing a whole lot of drivers run the same line twice.
No, you haven't, and that's been a great thing. We see somebody get in the wall in the front straightaway there once again. But yeah, exactly right. We've only had one run that was about 50 laps long. People were able to gauge based on how hard they were running what their tire wear was once they came down pit road. They can look that up and see how much their tires wore. Now they're trying different stuff, so when they make the next pit stop, they can see what that tire wear is and relate to themselves what they need to do moving forward. Right now is the time to try, experiment, go to school and do your homework so you have something at the end of this race. You know exactly which line you need to be running and how hard you need to be running it.
Two drivers still in a battle on track. There's a lot of different battles all the way up and down through the field. Looking at Chad Mikas, I really like the look of this number 25 car. It reminds me an awful lot of the car that Tony Raines and Terry Labonte drove in about 2007. That DLP car, I think it was 95 or 96 back then. But of course, Chad kind of taking the scheme into his own hands there. A little bit different colors instead of white. Instead of black, he's got white going on. Chad, always a fast driver, especially one not to be trifled with towards the end of this thing. He does a great job to mind his P's and Q's in the early goings.
Yeah, definitely. He was fast in the very first ELE race. We've seen him in the PGRL series that we do. He's always a guy that has tons of speed and is able to show it, but he will wait until about the halfway point before he really starts to get his name up there toward the front.
Yeah, Boomer Logan got really sideways there. That's why you saw the camera transition him. He almost made contact there with the number 80 car of Dennis Fairclough. Since then, those drivers have backed off just a little bit. This is battle I've been keeping my eye on, guys, up towards the front of the field. This is for second place. Justin Morton has been slowly drifting back into the clutches here of David Krikorian, our pole sitter in 66.
Yeah, and we saw Justin go by him early in the run, and Krikorian did not put up a big fight. He continued to run the bottom of the track just like we're seeing him do right now. And in doing so, it looks like he's been able to save his tires, and now he's going to make a run on Justin down the back straightaway and into turn 3.
Well, JR, also when he went around the outside of him, he was kind of blocked in by his teammate there of Stephen Moore. Could that have just been him saying, you know what, I could pass my teammate right now, but I'd rather just save my tires? Is that something you do in these races?
Yeah, I mean, at this stage of the race, we're not even a third of the way in. You definitely want to be easy with everything that you're doing. You want to cut guys a lot of breaks because at some point you may need a break, and you want that to be returned to you. But you're just trying to take care of your stuff. Get your car to the end of this race. I don't expect some of these guys to really start to fight hard until after we're past lap 200.
And speaking of getting closer and closer to being 1/3 of the way through this race, 10 questions with Boomer Logan, the weekly questionnaire used for people to get to know each other better in the sim racing community. They're going to give $10 to the person who is running in 10th at the end of lap 100. So it'll be very interesting to see. Right now, that's Matt Telder in number 2 car. We'll see if he continues to hold on to that position.
Yeah, we'll have to watch as we get, we're 9 laps away right now. You could see some guys start to fight over that position. And if they don't do it during this 100 lap mark, at the 200 lap mark, there's another $10 given out. So you could see guys start to fight for that. There could end up being a caution because of that.
Side-by-side battle going on here, and Ken, we've talked about this. Absolutely love bringing back the old, the retired, kind of outdated Pontiac style. That's the number 36 car there, Jacob Fife. He's got Blake Gordon in the 13 car just to his outside. It looks like he's going to make that move, and look at Michael Krobach just behind the two of them.
Yeah, I've always loved Pontiacs, and especially the wide track body style. I've owned one of the road cars, and I've always enjoyed the NASCAR versions, so they've always been sharp to me. So nice to see them come back and kind of pay homage to the history of the sport in some ways, kind of being resurrected here. And a good run so far from that number 36 Jacob Fife as he continues to move through the field. And guys, it looks like it's kind of been a pack had started forming from about second back to about the end of the top 10. It's pretty interesting here as you see some 3 wide action there.
Yeah, trying to make their way around a lap car. Looks like Michael Stroll is also going to make his way around Justin Morton. Justin held up just a little bit there by the lap car, the 33, that of course being piloted by Jonathan Gervin. He did a really good job though to kind of stay up and out of the way for all these lead lap cars. Oh, almost a little bit of contact there with the 13 car of Gordon. See here what David Krikorian has for Matt Thunhorst just a little bit up the track. Matt Thunhorst currently with about a 2-second lead over Krikorian in that 66 car. And the reason why I think there might be a bit of a challenge there is because Krikorian was the pole sitter. Matt Thunor is only qualified in second, so we might be able to see David get closer and closer to Matt as time goes on. So far, he's started to eat into that lead, but we'll have to see who's burned their tires off the most. It looks like Justin Morton now falling back into the clutches of Stephen Moore, the number 69 machine, and look out for Jacob Fife in the 36 car.
Yeah, Fife definitely starting to come through the field. He's driving one of those Pontiacs that you guys talked about, a great looking paint scheme there. But he's taking care of his stuff. We've seen him do extremely well in these Endurance League event races. So definitely starting to make a name for himself as we come up on lap 100 in just a few more laps.
Yeah, currently it's still Matt Telder, number 2 machine, like you mentioned, JR, a little bit earlier. So we'll have to see if Matt continues to hold on to that spot. Whoa, one car getting extremely loose there, coming off of turn 4. That's a 3-wide battle. It's Michael Krobach, Matt Telder, and then the 11 car. That's Cody Smith. So Cody right now on the attack, and you can see Michael Krobach trying to fall back just a little bit, see if he can't get that $10.
Yeah, that's a spot to go for. If you don't feel like you have a chance to finish in the top 3 tonight, battling for that 10th spot at lap 100 and 200 is a big thing.
Yeah, you can cover your entry fee, and at that point, you're kind of just playing with house money towards the end to see if you can't finish a little bit better. Look at Cody Smith. He kind of pushed the 2 car there at Teller into the corner.
Yeah, definitely great job being able to hang on to that. He's able to clear Krobach with that move and is going to continue to run up top. The 11 there of Cody Smith's going to try to get that bottom working again coming off of turn 4.
So this is it. They're on lap 100 right now. So this will be, you want to be the second car in this little 5-car pack at the end of this thing. Cody Smith, I feel like he had the opportunity to get that. We'll see if he checks up coming off the corner. Right now, Matt Telder would get the money. Turns 3 and 4, the race within a race here. It's still Telder. Whoa, look at Telder going to get way checked up off the corner. 3 wide as they cross the line. I'm going to have to look at the results tab to see who was scored in the 10th position. Looks like it was Matt Telder.
Yeah, and you could see there, Austin, these guys were fighting for it coming off of 4. They were all trying to slow down to get that 10th spot.
3 cars within about 1/100th of a second, so really trying to get that, but it looks like Matt Telder right now, the 2 car, the driver to get that, so we'll have to see how the rest of the race goes on for them. Oh man, look at this, another 2-wide battle. This is, looks like Michael Stroll is going to lose the position there to Stephen Moore.
Yep, Stephen Moore and David Krikorian, they have done a pretty darn good job of taking care of their tires at the beginning of this run. This is our longest run so far, just past 50 laps. So these guys are starting to show what they might have if we get a really long run here.
Yeah, Justin Morton has slipped all the way back now to the 6th position. We'll see if he's just burned up his tires and continues to drop through the field. Same with Chad Mikas. I'm looking here at Jacob Fife, though, in the 36 car to see if he can't make some more positions up in the next couple laps. He's been surely but slowly closing in on these guys.
Yeah, Fife doing a great job. He's another one of these guys that we've seen be able to have good car control in these races, no matter which car they run, and also be able to take care of his equipment. So he's coming up on Stroll here. Stroll looks like he's struggling just a little bit at this point in the race.
Yeah, I want to real quickly again thank 10 Questions and Boomer Logan for just kind of sponsoring that 10th place driver at lap 100 to receive $10. It really just livens up kind of the middle part of this race and gives us another opportunity to just kind of focus on the talent that some of these drivers have all the way up and down through the field. And speaking of Boomer Logan, running in 17th, the driver just behind him, Brandon Wengert, and the Dale Earnhardt throwback. I'm sure he's going to be probably in the top 5 of the best paint schemes. Running a throwback to Dale Earnhardt's Daytona 500 winner, the car from 1998, big old plus on the hood. I believe that was actually painted by Michael Stroll. You can download that in Trading Paints.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Austin. There's a lot of good painters that we see each. Oh, there's a car riding the wall. I believe that's David Faircloth that actually goes up over. Yeah, very reminiscent of what we saw earlier in the race, but this is going to bring out a caution. Not sure how much damage he has, but he's going to have some, right, Austin?
Yeah, I can't imagine he escaped from that completely unscathed. He's got to have some damage there in the right front corner. I mean, look at that. Almost a 45-degree angle. Goes for a pretty sick wall ride. Tony Hawk would be impressed, but boy, JR, you talk about him having damage, and I think he's got to be, but I don't see any kind of body panels disjointed from that.
Yeah, I only see the right front fender just slightly pushed in because he hit the wall pretty square, but it did touch that right front just a little bit as he was going up and over the wall. We'll have to see how that affects him. Hopefully, it looks like, well, this is actually the replay we're watching on board as he comes off and hits the wall. He was in a four-wheel slide there, just trying to keep it straight and gets into the wall there.
Yeah, close to 90 degrees on his side there. Almost rolled the car. But Kenny, almost the entire field, pretty much every driver on the lead lap coming down onto pit road.
Yeah, we have 20 cars left on the lead lap here, and looks like all of them coming down this time by. Faircloth may have gotten caught a lap down there. We'll have to see how he cycles out. But yep, Thunhorse going to lead all the drivers down for a full service. We'll see if there's any more jumbling in the positions here. I expect this to be full service for pretty much everyone. This was only a slightly longer run than the first run that we had. So only about a third of the way through this race. So a few more pit stops left. Matt Thunhorst wins the race off of pit road, it looks like. And looks like Krikorian will get out second in behind him.
Saw that Code Brown moment there riding on board with, I believe that was Boomer Logan in the 94 car. We're going to go side by side. You're not going to miss a moment of the absolutely thrilling racing action from these guys. We'll be right back.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Green, rolling. In your track. Check it up.
Welcome back to Corn Country for the Endeavor Derby 300 here at Iowa Speedway. You're watching the Virtual Grip Network. We're here in lap 110 out of 300, just a little bit over 1/3 of the way through this race. We just saw an incredible battle there for the 10th place. Of course, 10th place at lap 100, courtesy of 10 questions with Boomer Logan. Got to $10, so it looks like Matt Telder covered his entry fee for tonight. Of course, the buy-in for this race was $10. It's a paid race too, JR. These drivers can earn money if they finish on the podium. There's a couple other ways to win money, as always with these Endurance League events put on, of course, by Michael Stroll and the boys over here at ELE. I love to cover these races. I love the different ways you can make money. Of course, if you win the race outright, you get $50. If you come in second place, you get $20. And then if you're on the last step of the podium, you get $10 for finishing in third.
Absolutely. It's a great way to promote the competition, the level of competition that we see in each one of these Endurance League event races. And then, like we've already covered, the $10 bonus for being the 10th place car at lap 100, lap 200. And I think there's even a bonus for leading lap 150 during the race. So a lot of ways to try to get your money back, but a great showing, great competition level because of the money, the purse level that's in this race.
That's right, below the Double Yellow League. They're going to put $25 up for the driver leading at the completion of lap 150. It's going to be a good payout there. iRacing pace car goes back down pit road. Matthew Thunhorst puts his foot on the loud pedal. He got up to an extremely large lead here. First time we've seen him in the lead on a restart. First four cars now single file. Look out, though, for Michael Stroll and Justin Morton. Both of them very strong on the initial launches of these restarts.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to watch Justin as this run goes on. Maybe he learned a little bit, have more tire wear toward the end of this run because of what happened during the last section.
Yeah, he really forced himself to charge up through the field to see if he couldn't take the lead, and then, of course, he was paying the price for that as the tires wore off, and he was, of course, running a little bit slower. Same with Michael Stroh. Both those guys got further and further towards the front, and then really fell back as their tires kind of fell off. Looking at this two-wide battle here, that's Chad Mikas, the 25 on the inside, the 11 car of Cody Smith on the high side.
Yeah, and like we talked about earlier, as we're getting close to that halfway mark, Chad Micah's starting to let his presence be known in this race, starting to move forward here.
We have a driver
Chad
in the grass on the front stretch, Adam Wood in the 45 car, able to keep it going though. He just had another slide off of turn 4 like what we've seen a few drivers do, and but he's able to save it and keep going, no caution.
Always love those NOS paint schemes. Really like the look of the two colors clashing together. You get that that kind of blue with the orange go together very nicely. Matt Thunhorst still your leader. We've got the 66 car of David Krikorian just behind him. This is an inversion of how the top two rolled off the starting block. And, of course, Matthew Thunhorst took that EOL. Look at Blake Gordon all over the track.
Yeah, definitely guys moving around here trying to get that position. Yeah, exactly. Casey trying to get track position here. Everybody knows on each each restart is one of the best times to go and try to get that position because that's when your tires are the freshest and they feel the best.
Guys, another broken record, like a broken record, the 3 car Brandon Wengard ended up making a similar slide that I called earlier off of turn 4 into the grass, able to save it as well, down to 19th place, but able to keep going, no caution.
Well, it's kind of a knife's edge, JR, a fine line between you want to get all the spots that you can when your tires are at their freshest, but you really don't want to kind of heat them up too much on the initial start because you're going to pay for that on the long run.
Yeah, I'm always a guy that wants to try to take care of the equipment so I have something to work with a little bit later on, but there's always going to be drivers that want to go and get everything they can early because they know that's when the car feels the best to them, that's when they have the biggest opportunity. It's also when the cars are the closest together, so if you're going to try to make a pass attempt, that is the best time to try to do it.
And speaking of all the different painters in this league, looking at Blake Trawick here in the 58 car, very busy looking paint scheme for him. He's trying to see if he can't find a way around that John Andretti-esque looking car, the 61 of Jeffrey Stent just ahead of him.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why I like having the longer green flag runs. Right now, with the tires being as good as they are, everybody's going to try to run that same line, and it makes it very difficult to make a pass because of the aero issues that we talked about. Even so, we're seeing Michael Stroll trying to get under Fife here in the 36 coming off of turn 4. These guys have been running side by side for the last couple of laps.
Yeah, he really threw the car down onto the inside there. We'll see he's going to hold it for right now. Fife's going to pinch him, though, pretty hard. I don't think Fife enjoyed that kind of lunge up the inside from Stroll.
Yeah, late moves are never appreciated much by a lot of drivers out there, but definitely these guys continuing to put on a good race, keeping it clean here.
Up at the front of the field, David Krikorian is really doing a good job of keeping Matthew Thunhorst honest. He's been doing a good job to stay just in about that 2 to 3/10 range. Looking still here, this is Michael Stroll. He continues to sit in that 5th position. He's got Justin Morton behind him, and JR, I think Justin kind of heard what you're talking about, doing a better job to take care of his tires. He's just kind of riding right now.
Yeah, I have zero problem with what Justin did during the last run, going out there racing hard early in this race to see what would happen. He's learned from that, and he's making his adjustments, which is great. The good drivers are able to do that, so he will have a much better run this time around. But he learned, and that's what the beginning of these endurance races are all about, trying to learn and figure out what you need at the end of the race.
Yeah, doing some homework. Whoa, David Krikorian goes for a big old slide there off at turn 4. Gets really loose. He's going to practically give up, I'm going to say, about 3 or 4/10 of a second. Now he's going to fall back into the clutches here of Blake Gordon, who's right now being challenged pretty fiercely there by Jacob Fife.
Yeah, that was a pretty big slide. Krikorian, is going to have to take it easy for a lap or two, try to get those rear tires pulled back down. Hopefully he doesn't fall back into Blake's presence there. If he does, Blake's going to be able to make a pretty easy move on it.
Yeah, Matthew Thunhorst now out to about a 6/10 of a second lead. So that was about 4 or 5/10 that Krikorian lost that time by. Jacob Fife, though, continues to hound the number 13 of Blake Gordon just ahead of him.
Yeah, Blake continuing to move forward. He started back in 19th place tonight, making up 15 spots already in this race, and he is not done from the looks of things.
Back further through the field, you can see Chad Mikas continues to look down to the inside of Justin Morton. He's not been able to make anything of it. Speaking of looking down to the inside, you see Blake Gordon just a little bit higher than Jacob Pfeiffer right now.
Yeah, it's definitely a way to try to get a run on the drivers to enter just slightly higher than they are here and then turn back down on corner exit. It looked like that Jacob Pfeiffer was doing just that earlier. Blake Gordon was doing that to Krikorian as well, but when you do that, it does open up the inside to the guy behind you.
You can see Chad Mikas just barely looking down the inside at Justin Morton as Michael Krobach shoots his car down the inside there of Boomer Logan. Looks like he is going to be able to make that position. Moves himself up into about the 13th position for right now.
I'd like to make some note of the attrition tonight. So far there is 20 cars on the lead lap. Only one car is a single lap down. That's Dennis Faircloth. He was the cause for caution earlier. 2 cars are 2 laps down. That's D.W. Wright and Jonathan Gervin. And then some more. The rest of the cars are multiple laps down. All but one of them are completely out of the race. That's Carl Henderson, Brandon Bernhardt, Daniel Foss, Matt Shanowski. Josh Laston is the one driver that has been in and out of the server, is on track at the moment. Kevin Haas and Braxton Dewey. So a little bit of attrition, but generally some really clean racing so far as we approach the halfway mark.
Yeah, I really hate to see that for Matt Shanowski. Obviously a friend of all of us here at the Virtual Grip Network, and he did such a great job. Almost won the race last night that Kenny and I were in, the old New England, Pennsylvania Racing League. Always a fun time with them. But you can see Chad Mikas makes his way around Justin Morton there for the 6th position.
And still Jacob Pfeiffer is hounding the back end of Blake Gordon as we're taking a look from the roof of Pfeiffer here, and Pfeiffer really trying to pressure that 13 car into making a mistake. And and it looks like Pfeiffer's going to go to the high side here and try something different. And this is what Iowa opens up the possibilities for, is just trying a completely different line than what you did in the previous corner and surprise your opponent. And he is going to get to the inside here.
Yeah, that was a great textbook type move like you talked about there, Kenny, going way high in turn 3, getting that big run, getting back to the throttle early and turning down off of turn 4, shortcutting the front straightaway. He was able to get to the inside of Blake Gordon here, but so far not been able to make that pass. It's going to be hard to do at this point in the run.
You might see in shot here Brandon Wenger. There you see him down there in the 3 car on the apron. He just went for another slide through the infield grass on the front stretch. Again, able to keep it off the wall, but he's going to lose a lap this time, so he will fall back into about 20th place at least, possibly 21st.
Doing a really good job, though, to stay out of the way of all the other cars on the lead lap. You love to see that kind of sportsmanship and camaraderie between all these drivers. And boy, look at Jacob Pfeiffer and Blake Gordon still going at it.
These guys are running pretty hard. I think Fife feels like he has the faster car right now. He just needs to get out in front so he can help save his tires. Unfortunately, he's not been able to do that because Blake Gordon has been hounding throughout this run. So these two guys are really wearing their stuff out doing this side-by-side racing, but it's great action for us here.
Yeah, just behind them, you saw Michael Stroll and Chad Mikas really getting at it with each other. Looks like Michael Stroll is still going to be ahead of Chad Mikas for right now, but I don't think Chad's done trying to get this 5th position.
One thing I've noticed is that when drivers spend a decent amount of time side by side, it really seems to kind of create a parachute and draws in multiple cars from behind. So that was kind of a 1 versus 1 battle, and by the time it was resolved, now you got a train of 3, 4, 5 cars right in behind those same drivers. So if you decide to make a move, you better make it stick, or else you could end up being actually losing spots.
Yeah, get freight train there. Chad Mikas trying to see if he can't look down the inside here of Michael Stroll. 25 on the bottom, number 38 up top. And the Clean Air just not able to take advantage there, really just wrapping that apron.
And you see that it's all about patience. Patience with the throttle, patience with the steering wheel, patience with your opponent as well. As you see Stroll again looking down to the inside of Gordon. I wonder if Gordon's maybe just roached his tires just a little bit more than the drivers around him. This is kind of the first time that he's really been up in kind of the podium spots all night, so might have just overdriven just a little bit. Did qualify 6th, so he has been in the top 10 the majority, if not the majority, all night tonight. But it looks like he's just losing a little bit of pace compared to the drivers around him.
Yeah, Kenny, and when we were riding on board with Jacob Fife earlier, I could kind of see Blake Gordon really pushing it on corner exit, kind of coming off a little bit wide, and you could even see the tires spinning a little bit as he came home to the straightaway, the back end of that car just wiggling side to side just a little bit. So more than likely he's done that very thing and overheated his tires, and he's just struggling trying to keep that position, but he's continuing to fight hard, and that's only going to make his tire situation worse.
Michael Stroll continues to run on the bottom there. Blake Gordon up top. Chad Mikas in the popcorn position, as we call it, just behind him. Justin Morton still trying out there, just minding his P's and Q's, seeing if he can't, conserve his tires right now and really have a fast car towards the end of this long green flag run. So far, we've been about, 30 laps on these tires, guys?
Yeah, about 30 laps into this run at the moment. So it's about halfway of what we had the last run. These guys have already experienced this. They know where their cars are headed. Handling-wise, we see Stroll getting really loose off of turn 4. They're doing a great job to keep the car straight on corner exit, but that's just going to allow, it looks like, Chad Mikas to try to get a run on him as they come off of turn 2. They may almost be 3 wide.
Well, Michael Stroll did a really good job to hold on to that car. And Kenny, it's so hard to run in the bottom here because the banking falls away so fast coming out of the corners.
Yeah, you just have to be really patient, and you can't charge the corner too hard. You really have to focus on maximizing your exit. That's going to be your weakness on the bottom side. So, got to be able to really get the car to turn, take advantage of the shorter way around, but then try to at least keep up on corner exits so that you can continue making the pass into the next corner. And one thing here, as Mikas is really loose off of turn 4, able to save it, he might lose at least one position. But what I was going to say is the thing about Iowa being so wide and racy in multiple grooves, drivers will not be afraid at all to try a 3-wide pass here. Most tracks the super late models go to, 3 wide is really kind of a no-no or a desperation maneuver. But here at Iowa, that's almost a normalcy. It can very well happen tonight.
See Blake Gordon now under attack still from Michael Stroll on the bottom there. Justin Morton still doing a good job to mind his P's and Q's, and don't look down, but that 11 car of Cody Smith has come into this battle, as is the number 61 machine, Jeffrey Stanton.
Remember when I talked about earlier, when drivers are side by side, it brings in a bunch of other drivers into the mix, and you saw Stroll and Gordon have been fighting this out, and now all of a sudden you see 3, 4, 5, 6 cars queued up behind this group, and they're also losing a bunch of time to the 36, 99, and the 8 that are leading this race.
Yeah, up at the front of the field, it's still Matthew Thunhorst. He's done a pretty good job there to pull his lead, extended by about a tenth or two since we last talked about it. It's about 0.8 of a second right now as he goes to approach a lap car. We'll see how fast he can get around him. Going to pull out of the way very nice for him. Considerate of the lap car. David Krikorian still in second, number 66 machine. And then you got Jacob Fife still in the 36. Jacob not able to do a whole lot, but he still gapped that second pack that you were talking about, Kenny. That pretty much hornet's nest there for the 4th position by about another good second. Crucially, we're getting closer and closer to the halfway point in this race where Matthew Thunhorst, because he's the leader right now, can nab himself a $25 payday here from below the double yellow lead. They're throwing in $25 for the driver who is leading at the completion of lap 150.
Yeah, and that's a big payday in this event just for doing that alone. If you do nothing else in this race, that's big. We continue to see Michael Stroll struggle up off of turn 4, continuing to be sideways, and that's going to allow, it looks like, Mikas to get to his outside and maybe even complete that pass off of turn 2.
One thing we've learned this run is that Blake Gordon is a difficult driver to pass, and these other drivers will take note of that. So, if Blake Gordon will be playing the offense later on in this race, I don't know if they'll be giving him quite the breaks that maybe they would be giving some of the other drivers. But here we go. Stroll kind of failed to pass the 13, and now it's the chance of the for Micus here to see if he can make a move.
And we'll see what Micus has in store for Blake Gordon. It looks like it's really hard to pass a guy, though, if they're up on that high line, especially when they pinch you down like that.
It definitely is, Austin, for sure, but Micus looks like he's got a lot of good car control, good throttle control, and in the past has been very patient in these type of situations, so we'll have to see if he's able to prevail or not here. Blake Gordon's going to continue to fight hard. But another thing that I want to bring up, guys, we're kind of in a transition phase right now. The sun has gone down, and the track temperature is going to start to drop. That is going to change the handling on these cars and the way that this track reacts and how the car setups react to that.
Could see a pick maneuver here. These drivers are catching up to a lap car. Could see Micus kind of pinch off the 13. He is. 13 still going to go for it. Oh, and we have contact into 3.
Oh, look at the 33 going around. Caution. Jonathan Durbin there. Not really much for him to do.
Yeah, I'm surprised that wasn't bigger than it was, to be honest with you. And I mean, Micus did exactly. I would have done the exact same thing. You know, if he couldn't get past the 13, use the lap car as a pick. The 13 tried to still kind of get through there, and there was enough room, but just barely. And I think the 13 saw Micus down there, kind of open the wheel up to the right just a hair to avoid hitting the 25 car, and instead ended up clipping the innocent Jonathan Gervin.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised Jonathan didn't just go a little bit higher than we saw him go there into the corner, and look at Blake almost slams on the brakes hard enough, fast enough to avoid making contact with him. But, Kenny, it looks like all the lead lap cars down on pit road once again.
Yeah, there really hasn't been a whole lot of room for much of strategy. However, we did have one driver stay out for now. That's Kyle Cooper. We'll have to keep an eye on him, see if he comes in for a stop. But everyone else on their way in. Most drivers stopping in their pit boxes right now. Thunhorst and Krikorian nearly too far in their box, but they were able to get stopped in time.
And of course, Matt Thunderhorst, obviously leader at the halfway point, takes home the $25 bonus. See how the car is now going up on the jack stands. Looks like Michael Krobach went for a two-tire pit stop. Won the race off pit road, followed by Matt Thunderhorst. I think Jacob Fife also went with 2 tires. We'll have to see how everything shakes out, especially how well those 2-tire stops do. This should be their 3rd set of tires as well. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Back here live for the Endeavor Derby 300. You're watching the Virtual Grip Network. We're about 5 laps removed from the halfway point. Matthew Thunhorst was leading at the time. Of course, he pocketed the $25 reward for leading at the halfway point, thanks to Below the Double Yellow League. Put in a $25 mark. There's still a lot of bonus money left to win here. Woodhill Supply, they're going to pay $10 to the highest finishing driver who completes the race, still with a 0x. Hard to do, but really, again, rewarding clean driving. Lots of us here in the booth a fan of that. 10 questions with Boomer Logan, excuse me. We saw, I believe, Matt Telder took home the first $10 for being in 10th place at the end of lap 100. There's still another $10 to pay out for that. Of course, the driver running in 10th place at the end of lap 200. And then, of course, there's the Big Evil Designs bonus money that, of course, is $15 goes to the winner of the voted best paint scheme of the race. And, of course, we get the opportunity to choose what driver that is. If you've got thoughts, opinions, or comments, go ahead and throw them in the YouTube live chat. We'll be looking at that just a little bit before we make our decision.
And we have a good candidate up front with Kyle Cooper. First time he's up in the front. He did not pit under that last caution, so it'll be really interesting to see how he fares on 40-plus old tires compared to the rest of the field. But driving an old Bob Seneker throwback, so that's a local racing legend from where I'm from in Michigan. So that's a cool paint scheme to see. Got Berger Chevrolet on the side.
Yeah, lots of cool tidbits of information about that car. iRacing pace car now going to make the hard left turn down pit road. I think the two drivers up front should be about a half a second to an entire second slower than all the drivers with the new tires, but we'll see how that goes. And look at the restart. Krobach's going to get absolutely swamped.
Yeah, just does not have the tires to get going on this restart. The big thing for him is to stay out of trouble so he can save that set of tires that he just saved by not pitting.
Look at Matt Thunderhorse here. He's already basically going to grab the lead as they head into turns 3 and 4. Look at Jacob Fife on the high side. We'll see if he has anywhere to go. He might be picked here behind the number 84 car of Cooper. Oh, they're going to be 3 wide in the middle of turns 1 and 2.
Close racing, but these guys showing each other a lot of respect, and that's huge in a racing league, these guys being able to do that without making contact.
Still 2 wide from basically 4th place on back. Noah's Ark style. See, that's Chad Mikas, the 25 car down below the 84 car of Cooper. Now Michael Stroll looks to take over that position as well, move himself up into what should be the 5th spot.
You see Cooper and Krobach still kind of plugging up the field here at the top side of the track, just trying to hold on as best they can. They got 3 wide here, and you know, drivers will realize that these two are on old tires. Krobach just on new right sides, and it looks like it's not really helping him too much out of the groove. He will lose some more spots here off of turn 4. We'll see if these tires equalize. I'm sure they will at some point.
Yeah, 3 wide coming off the corner there. 4 wide going into turns 1 and 2 almost. Man, look at the 11 car there of Cody Smith shoot the gap.
Yeah, and the interesting thing with Krobach only taking the 2 tires, we need to watch him. Hopefully we get at least a 40 or 50 lap run going here, because that changed the balance of his car. That could create a better balance for him toward the middle and end of the run.
But JR, it's so hard to tell if that's going to make the car tighter or looser. I've had it happen both ways for me.
Yep, yeah, you're absolutely right, and it is hard to tell, but it's a good time to experiment. I wish he had done it a little bit earlier, but he's still doing it around the halfway mark. He still has time to regain the spots that he is losing, and he's going to learn from this.
Well, the one good thing about doing it now, JR, is as long as the strategy kind of still works out his way, he's doing it when the track is more conducive to what it will be at the end of the race. If he would have done it right at the beginning when it was sunny and hot out, the handling characteristics might have been totally different from what they will be at the end.
And that's exactly right. The temperature continues to drop. This track is changing. This will be the closest that the track will be toward the end of the race. It would have been completely different at the beginning. Very good point.
See Justin Morton, the number 15 car there. Doing a really good job again, trying to see if he can't take care of his tires a little bit further down the field than we're used to seeing him. Right now he's riding in about the 13th position. Wondering how much reconnaissance he did based on that last stop. And of course, just behind him, about 2 spots, some of the cars he was battling with a little bit earlier on. Most notably, the 69 car of Stephen Moore up at the front of the field, closer to it. Second place, you got Jacob Fife, number 36 car, David Krikorian in the 66. This is that battle I was talking about, back further in the field.
Morton had a pit stop that last time that was 25 seconds, a lot slower than just about everybody else around him. So that's what attributes to his loss in track position, and seems to be just kind of settling in here. But these drivers up towards the front, they're all kind of in a train, but they really do not look too satisfied with where they're running. A lot of drivers kind of peeking their nose, just kind of looking for places to make passes. Krikorian trying to get around Jacob Fife, and this is the closest to the front that he's been all night long.
Yeah, well, sometimes, though, JR, I don't know if that's a driver just looking to see if he can't make something happen or spook the guy ahead of him, or just try to put air on the front end of these cars.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both, and can be different things depending on which driver it is. But definitely looking to the inside of somebody, letting them know that you're looking, can get them out of a rhythm, can make them run a line slightly off from what they have been running and give you an opportunity to make the pass. And then other times it's just like you said, to get the air on the nose so your car handles better and gives you the opportunity to try to make the pass up off the corner. But every driver's a little bit different as to why they are doing that.
And we talked about Justin Morton not doing so hot, but boy, it looks like he's sick and tired of running outside the top 10. He's going to start now to challenge the drivers just ahead, most notably the 2 car. That's the guy that won the $10 for being in 10th place at the end of lap 100, thanks to 10 questions with Boomer Logan. Justin Morton going to make the move down to the inside him. Then he's going to set his sights on the 72 car just up the road of Michael Krobach.
Thing we've noticed as a trend on these restarts is that Matt Thunhorst has just been able to really gap the field in the first 5 or so laps on these restarts, no matter what the situation has been. And it's allowed him to just kind of settle in and allow the field to just, he says, go ahead and catch me. And some of the drivers have put down laps faster than him on occasion. But I think Matt just is good at just being out in front and controlling the pace and just running what he feels like he needs to out front.
That's a great, sorry, Austin. That's a great place to be in because you're able to run wherever you want to and able to conserve your tires the maximum that you can. So a great place if anybody wants to have a shot to win this race. They're going to have to figure out how to get by him either on the racetrack or in the pits.
Second place is still Jacob Fife. He's got about closer to a second than a half a second behind Matthew Thunhorst, doing a really good job though to hold on to that spot. I'll be interested to see. He's been holding off here David Krikorian for the better part of the last, I'm going to say 10 or 20 laps. Just behind these guys, of course, is Chad Mikas as well. I'll be interested to see what Jacob Fife and Chad Mikas can do towards the end of this run. They've been doing a really good job to kind of just mind their P's and Q's and take it easy, try to conserve those 4 fresh feel-goods.
Definitely Fife and Mikas during that last run were some of the fastest cars out on the track once they were able to get around the guys that they were racing at that point. So it would be interesting. We can get about 20 or 30 more laps here to see what kind of lap times they have and whether or not they're able to slowly eat into Matt's lead.
Further through the field, this of course is the looking at the number 72 car Michael Krobach as he tries to make his way around the number 13 car of Blake Gordon. Just behind him is the number 9 of Justin Morton. Morton starting to stalk these guys. He's had enough of running kind of based on where he is. He wants to try to get further back up towards the front if he can't. Of course, in about 25 laps, this is where everybody's going to want to be. Another opportunity, of course, to win an extra $10 bill, of course, courtesy of 10 questions with Boomer Logan. And now that award would go to Michael Krobach.
And he's just kind of settled in here behind Blake Gordon. And it looks like the pace is kind of equaled out. Him on 2 tires. The rest of the field, except for Cooper, on 4 fresh tires from the last pit stop. And looking back, trying to find Cooper. Cooper is 17th at this point, so not the last car on the lead lap, and still kind of tailing behind a few cars. But of course, the fresh tires are definitely going to matter. But if he can stay on the lead lap and maybe take advantage of a late caution when possibly drivers start running out of tires, could make or break, or could make his race. As a car actually in front of Cooper went through a slide in turn 1 and 2. That was Adam Wood, slid on the apron, but he's able to make a nice save, and we continue green.
Yeah, he's the same driver that made that really nice save off of turn 4 earlier in the race. Kenny went through the grass, held on to it. Still back in the race, though. Krobach making his way down to the inside of the 13-car Blake Gordon.
And this is continuing to be one of the best battles on the racetrack anywhere that Blake Gordon is, because he's been able to hold these guys off even when they're faster than him. He's running a great line, and it's just, you see Krobach there struggling to get the throttle down on corner exit.
Curious as to, I mean, it's really hard to get to the outside of somebody if you come up to pass them, especially if they're running in that higher line. But I'd be really curious to see what happens if somebody just kind of spooks Blake if they're not too careful. Look at Justin Moore. I think he's having the same thought here.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime you see the two cars side by side, you're going to try to want to get to the outside like we saw Justin do on Krobach there. It's just an easy pass to make, and then the next thing he's going to do is, like you said, Austin, is just try to look to the outside of Blake Gordon once they get into open track, and that may be just enough to make Blake pull down and Justin get a big run.
Towards the front, still have second place Jacob Fife with David Krikorian right in behind him, and Chad Mikas not far behind him as well. Haven't seen a whole lot of side-by-side action up towards the front. The first battle has pretty much been what we've seen on screen the past few laps with Justin Morton and company going after it. But there's a look at second, third, and fourth. Just kind of riding around, but Krikorian looks like he's maybe been thinking about making a move, running that staggered line as we see there in turn 3 and 4, but hasn't really been able to make any lunge or real effort for that second spot.
Yeah, Chad Mikas as well, just kind of waiting in the weeds. He got really loose there coming off of turn 4 that last time by. Just behind them is another battle here. This is for the 5th position. This is Michael Stroll in the 38. He's got Jeffrey Stanton. He's been stalking him for a while, has Stanton. I know he's Cody Smith in the 11.
I know he just got off camera on it, but Krikorian got really loose off of turn 2 that last time by. So he's definitely pushing the issue, maybe even too far. Seeing these cars, JR, I'm starting to see these super late models. A lot of them are getting quite yawed off of the corner. Maybe these drivers starting to drive a little more off of the right rear.
Yeah, definitely. So we talked about the track transitioning. The temperature has gone down, not a ton, but the temperature has gone down. We see Krikorian trying to make a move down to the inside of turn 1, very close entering the corner. They're almost contact, but they keep it clean. But that temperature going down is going to continue to add more grip, especially to the front tires. And generally what that does is plants that front nose a little bit more, creating a freer issue in this car. So you're going to get freer and freer as this run goes on and as the temperature continues to drop. So these guys are going to have to be paying attention to that, because they cannot run the throttle as hard as what they did at the beginning of this race. I know it sounds weird, but when the temperature cools off, the car will get freer.
Man, did you guys see what's been going on here between Krikorian and Fife? Krikorian kind of muscled his way down there. Couldn't quite get to the inside, but coming off of turn 2 last lap, Fife went all the way up the track, and that allowed for Krikorian to get down to his inside. They've been side by side ever since then.
Yeah, they're fighting hard for this track position. Fife has finally gotten that second place track position. He wants to keep it for later in this race, but right now Krikorian knows he's being held up, and he is pushing hard trying to get it back, because he knows that he is fast, and if he's going to have a shot to win this race, he's got to at least be in second place when the caution comes out. And what this is allowing is Mikas to get to the outside of Krikorian and maybe put Mikas in that perfect seat to try to make a move on both these guys.
Yeah, and Mikas right now, both these guys running side by side, he's just sitting in the catbird seat saving his tires.
Yep, exactly right, and that's what he's going to continue to do until he sees an opening there, and then you'll see him go for it and try to get the pass made.
Got about 11 or so laps before we get to the other opportunity to win another $10, of course, courtesy by 10 Questions with Boomer Logan. That, of course, paying out $10 to the driver running in 10th at the end of lap 200. Whoa, almost side-by-side contact, doored each other. Coming up off of turn 2 between Jacob Fife and the 36 on the high side. And then we're 66 car of David Krikorian on the low side.
Yep, that was Krikorian's best opportunity to try to get that pass made. Unfortunately for him, Fife ran a great turn 3 and 4 and was able to continue on the outside there. He's going to try to drive it in hard and move up, but Fife is still there on corner exit.
Yeah, Fife doing a really good job. Just kind of hold on to that quarter panel, especially coming up off the corner. This is going to be a power move, though. I mean, the tires and the talent it takes to go ahead and pass the guy on the bottom this late into a run is it's impressive.
It's impressive for sure, Austin, when you see that happen, but it's really impressive to see these guys go side by side, not making contact. It's showing the skill level that is in this race. These guys are no joke. They are extremely good at what they do.
They've got to be careful, though. There's a lap car just up ahead. That's a 19 car of Josh Gordon. He's going to stay high. Just dab the brakes a little bit on corner exit. Didn't think there by Mr. Fife in the 36 car over the driver chat.
Yeah, a lot of respect right there from those guys, giving each other a lot of room. That could have been worse, could have created a racing incident, and it didn't. So great job there.
They continue to go at it. Looks like Krikorian's going to clear himself this time by. Maybe we'll see Fife try the low side. This is really interesting to see Fife go ahead and try to get it back.
Yeah, could see a reverse here, but that could cost Fife in a big way. He could lose a spot to Micus as well.
I feel like he's gonna, because I feel like his tires at this point, they're a little bit weaker than Krikorian's. I think right now Krikorian's overall just a little bit faster. And now, yep, exactly as you called it. Whoa, look at that big slide for the number 36 of Fife.
Yep, big slide, but did a great job hanging on to it. He just needs to get his tires cooled back down and try to maintain some pace with those guys that just got around him.
Yeah, now Michael Stroll is going to be all up on him like white on rice in a couple laps here. And he's got Jeffrey Stanton just behind him. The drivers all behind him. Blake Trowick, Cody Smith, Justin Morton. They've all been super hungry. They've kind of just been running single file for a long time. Nobody really wants to do anything to pass anyone else because it's so hard to get a pass done. It's almost just better to save your tires and be even faster as the run goes on.
Yeah, exactly right. You definitely want to make sure that you're going to be guaranteed to make that pass or have room to get back in line when you got cars right beside you. Just
one car on the wall. That's the 42 machine.
Yeah, definitely up there, rubbing that wall. Maybe just trying to stay out of the way from these leaders. This is one thing that we haven't seen so far in this race. The leaders actually catching lap traffic.
Guys, I'd like to go back about 5, 6, 7 laps to the end of lap 189. Blake Gordon off of turn 4. He was in that 10th spot and ended up getting up out of the groove and slams the outside wall. He's seen that a few times tonight, and that really stacked up Michael Krobach in behind him. Surprised that wasn't an actual wreck and a caution caused by that. Thanks to Ryan Seneca for getting that replay. But one of the early contenders with a little bit of trouble, and he's really struggled with the handling of that race car ever since, and he's now dropped back to 15.
Well, good eye there, Kenny.
Yeah, great shots by Ryan tonight, and that was one of the things that we talked about a little earlier, Kenny. It just seems like later in this run, especially off of turn 4, once the car starts to slide, it gets into like a 4-wheel slide where the car just keeps sliding up, and nothing you can do to stop it. You can't turn the wheel, you can't get on the brakes, the car just keeps going, and eventually you smack that wall, and that's kind of what we saw there once again with Blake.
We're about 2 laps removed here from paying out another $10 bonus courtesy of 10 questions with Boomer Logan. Right now, Justin Morton set to take that payday, but the man who did it before, Matt Telder, looks to take away 10th spot just as I begin talking about it. 2 laps to go until that's paid out.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be the best race on track to watch for the next couple of laps. Justin is in the preferred spot running that outside line. We see the 2 car of Matt Telder to his inside, trying to complete the pass and move up on him, but Justin's not going to allow it.
Yeah, Justin's really going to need to put the hammer down here if he wants to take that 10th spot back. Right now, he's in 11th. We'll see if he can get it done here. They just started lap 200, so this time by the start-finish line, it's going to take it. Look at Matt Telder. He really tried to push Justin up the track.
Yeah, Telder's going to make the pass off of turn 2. I think he saved a lot of tires just for this very moment to try to get this 10th place money once again, and he's going to continue to have that spot coming off of turn 4.
Yeah, he's going to nab the additional $10 there, courtesy of 10 questions with Boomer Logan. So that's a $20 payday overall for him. Mr. 10th place, Matt Telder. Let's see what he can do now that there's no more advantage to running in 10th.
Yeah, great strategy for him to get that. I do expect
now.
Oh, man, I was looking forward to seeing what he could do.
It's Kyle Cooper on the backstretch, guys. Went for a spin. Remember, he's the driver with the the oldest tires, and it looks like he just lit up the rear tires off of turn 4 and went for a spin. A little bit of contact with Blake Gordon. can see there another single car spin. That just goes to show how on the edge that all these race cars are the longer that they run. But looks like Cooper will be able to continue, but will lose all his track position and have a little bit of damage.
Yeah, he looks like he just barely got into the 13 car of Blake Gordon.
Yeah, and
with him again.
Yeah, that was off of turn 2, guys, and that was actually looked like hitting that bump in the middle of turn 1 and 2. Kind of sent his car slightly up into the middle of the track, and of course, as he applied the throttle, the car just wasn't ready for it. So that bump may have come into play there.
Man, Boomer Logan almost hit him. Yeah, Ryan, I was just going to ask for this. You're going to see that's the white car just ahead. He's going to start to slide right here. Look at this fast hands. Code Brown moment, steers the car down. This is the second Code Brown moment for Boomer.
Yeah, great hands, not only to avoid, but to save that car as it was drifting sideways.
Yeah, it's one thing to miss him. It's another thing to avoid getting into the wall yourself. Oh, look at Stanton. He's already out of the pits. He might win the race off pit road. He will, the 61 car, indeed.
And I believe Krikorian actually beat Matt off, so that's a big move there.
Yeah, lots of comers and goers here. We're going to come back in just a couple of seconds to continue to say who is going to be crowned King Colonel before the end of this thing at the Endurance League events Endeavor Derby 300 live here from Iowa Speedway. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Endeavor Derby 300 for the Endurance League events. This is the final event of the year. You're watching the Virtual Grip Network. You're just now joining us after 2/3 of the way through the race. Of course, lap 205 out of 300. If you're just now joining us, or you just want a quick recap, the race has been largely dominated by Matthew Thunhorse, David Krikorian, and Justin Morton. Justin led to about the first maybe 50 laps, and then he fell back further through the field to Matt Thunhorse. Matt has led pretty much most of the laps to this point in the race. David Krikorian led for maybe the first 20 or so, but he, again, back up towards the front as the race continues to go on. Lots of comers and goers, lots of guys coming down pit road to take tires. Crucially, the man in the 61 car came down pit road. He's your leader. He only took right side tires. That's why he got the lead off of pit road that last time by.
You know, we saw that it didn't really work out for the 72 of Michael Krobach taking 2 tires. I mean, he kept him in the top 10, but by no means kept him up towards the very front of the field. So still a decent bit of racing to go here, just under 100 laps to go. But with the decently long runs that we've seen tonight, it might be difficult for Stanton to kind of recover any track position he might lose on this green flag run.
The lights are out atop the iRacing pace car, so we're going to be going green this time by. It's going to make the hard left turn down pit road, and I'll be really interested to see what kind of run the 61 car can get off the drop of the green flag here and see just how soon it is before he gets eaten up by the field behind him. He does a good job to fire off early. Look at Matt Thunhorse. He got a really good launch as well. And Michael Stroll, the 38 machine, doing a good job to keep up with him.
So Krikorian, though, on that outside lane, being able to keep pace.
Oh, he got really tight and then loose.
Yeah, he got loose and chased it up the track. Did a great job keeping out the wall there.
Oh, look at Krikorian, able to really shove it up there on the high side. Matt Thunhorst a little bit boxed in on the bottom side behind the 61 car. We'll see if Matt can make it 3 wide. If he doesn't, I think David's going to have a really good shot to take the lead. Oh, Matt Thunhorst going to look down to the... Whoa, contact, mate. He's going to spin him down into the infield.
Oh, man, that's definitely not...
Might be a caution here. Yep, caution's out.
Well, that was actually a thrown caution flag, not an iRacing caution flag. I wasn't sure if all of them were user controlled or not, but looks like that one thrown by race control.
I think that's the first one we've had been thrown by a user instead of race control. I'll be really interested to get a replay of just what went on there. Looked like Matt made his way down to the inside, and I think it just might have been a block a little bit too late.
Well, I feel like from what I'm seeing here is that the 8 car was probably expecting the 61 to go all the way up to the wall on the exit, and he didn't do that. And you see the 66 there on the outside as well, and which he wasn't anywhere near getting to the outside of the 61. And maybe like you were saying, Austin, he was kind of just trying to take away both lanes down the backstretch, and I don't think there was any way for Thunhorst to really know that was kind of coming there.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. You expect everyone to kind of wash up the track because it's so hard to tell. With these race cars, unless you're in VR, you really can't turn your head to see. This, of course, riding on board, you see just a little bit of contact, and then there's no way to check up in time.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell. I also feel like Jeffrey there kind of hit that bump, and it kind of pushed his car up the track a little bit. And in the process of not overcorrecting it, he didn't drift up against the wall like you guys said, and that led to that contact. But I definitely don't think there's anything intentional there.
Yeah, just a racing deal for sure. But Kenny, a lot of guys just came down onto pit road. None of our leaders, none of the guys up towards the very front of the field. But I do think it was a lot of the fast guys kind of towards, outside of the top 10. Is that them just topping up on fuel? Because it maybe takes longer to take fuel than it does to take tires?
Well, I think it's definitely a top off on fuel because it looks like about 6 drivers came down. It was Krobach, Wood, Morton, Gladulich, Faircloth, and Stanton, obviously for damage repair. But I think all these drivers are coming in to top off to possibly see if they could make it to the end on fuel. We talked earlier, it could be 80 to 90 laps on a tank of fuel, and we are right there. Might even see some drivers come down again and maybe top off another time before we go green here. But yeah, I think they're playing for the long haul. And on top of that, even if they do make another pit stop, they definitely won't have to put as much fuel in the race car as the leaders, which can definitely lead to a much shorter pit stop in these super late models.
Great point, Kenny. Thank you, as always, for the insight. We're going to take a quick break here from the Hawkeye State in the Endeavor Derby 300. We'll be right back after this.
This is your chance to get behind the wheel. The opportunity to race just like the pros. From the grassroots levels, where we all got our start, to the most popular race cars on the planet. From the fairgrounds of Nashville to the high banks of Daytona, to tracks that will never be forgotten. Realistic driving, intense competition, all from the comfort of your own home. This is the ultimate motorsports simulation. This is iRacing.
Love to hear that classic music as always. Let's now go out atop the iRacing pace car. I'd like to take another quick moment to thank some of our sponsors for tonight's race. As always, these Endurance League events are put on by Michael Stroll and all his buddies there, so we'd like to thank them for putting this on. I'd like to thank you folks at home for watching here on lap 213 out of 300. I'd like to thank Big Evil Designs. They're going to pay out $15 to whoever gets voted with the best paint scheme, of course, by us here up in the booth. And if you fans at home have an opinion on who you think has the best paint scheme, go ahead and throw that in the chat. Below the Double Yellow League, they put in $25 for the driver leading at the completion of lap 150. That was Matthew Thunhorse. He got a $25 payday. And Woodhill Supply, they're going to throw in $10 to the highest finisher who completes the race with 0x. As well as 10 questions with Boomer Logan. Those awards have already been decided. Matt Telder, Mr. 10th place, won $20. 10 for being the driver in 10th place at the end of lap 100 and 200, respectively. Green flag flies through the air once again. David Krikorian, the man who started on pole, fires off for the green flag, dropping once again. He's got Matthew Thunhorse in second place, just to his outside. He's now fallen back. He's got Cody Smith trying to challenge him on the inside.
Yeah, definitely Krikorian's best friend right now could be Cody Smith if he can make that inside stick on the inside of Matt Thunhorse, but he's going to pass him coming off of turn 2.
That moved Matt Thunhorse back into the second position. He was faster than David Krikorian all throughout the last long green flag run, so we'll see what Matt can do to catch up to him. But it's one thing to catch a guy, Kenny. It's a completely different thing to pass him.
It really is, and these drivers are going to have, the attacking drivers are going to have less and less patience. And the defending drivers are going to be trying harder and harder to defend their track position because they know how difficult it'll be to get it back, and they're going to run out of time before too long. So the stakes are rising here, and the aggression level is rising with it.
See the number 4 car of Casey Shute just to the inside there of Blake Trawick. He's got Kyle Cooper to his outside, He's got Blake just ahead of him at 58. The cow-looking car. Interesting tidbit, guys, about the state of Iowa. They have the most pigs of any other state. So if you got pork, it probably came from Iowa.
Corn-fed pigs, I would assume.
Debatable. We'll see. I don't know. I didn't look into that. So probably worth the goog. Matt Thunhorse continues to be just within about 0.3 of a second behind David Krikorian. Another battle here, too wide. Mr. 10th place, Matt Tilder in the 2 car on the inside. He's got the number 13 car. Blake Gordon is outside. And Jared, we talked about it just before the last caution, before the end of the green flag stint came out. We're really interested to see what Matt can do now that there's really no advantage to being in 10th place.
Yeah, definitely. He's got his big payday by finishing 10th in the last 2 stages, so now he's going to try to go as far forward as he can. Unfortunately for him, he's racing Blake Gordon right now, which has been very difficult to pass.
Yeah, if there's anybody that's reminded me tonight of Ryan Newman, if it isn't Rocket Man David Krikorian, winner of the pole award, it's definitely that number 13 car, Blake Gordon. Harder to pass than a kidney stone, as it were.
And a good recovery from Gordon. Remember, he had some really heavy contact on the outside wall out of turn 4. I was wondering if that was really going to kill his run. Sometimes the right side damage can make these cars extra tight, but he's recovered from that caution, a little bit of contact from that, and he's doing what he does best, riding that high line and staying within the top 10.
Yeah, how about Cody Smith, too? I mean, started back in 7th. We've obviously had about 221 laps to get to where we're running right now, but Cody Smith, this is about the highest we've seen him running all day. And we got another caution. Business is picking up.
And this was Dennis Faircloth on the backstretch, second incident he has been involved in tonight. And he ends up getting into the outside wall. It was kind of a 3-wide situation, just kind of got run up the track. And John Gordon, nowhere to go as a passerby, ends up smashing into him. There you see John Gordon coming into shot. Heavy contact, yeah.
It's a real shame, too. I was really looking for Faircloth to really come back into the mix here towards the end of this thing. He was doing a great job to run that high line there in that bright-colored car. This is another replay from the sky. That was a big hit. Oh man, look at all the cars coming down onto pit road as well, Kenny.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. This is the point of the race where you're going to start to see a lot of splits, and some drivers will be pitting because they want the tires, but I think a lot of these drivers are pitting more so because of the fuel situation. Fuel takes a while to put in these race cars, and I would say that everybody from here on out is definitely within their fuel window to make it to the end. So you see Matt Thunhorst is going in for a full service here, but David Krikorian stayed out. Also, Chad Mikas stayed out. Those are two of the front runners that did not pit there. There you see Thunhorst leaving the pit area. So let's see, we had about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drivers, counting the 2 drivers involved in that wreck, decided to come down pit lane. So strategy is going to be all over the place from here on out.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see who comes down pit road and win. But yeah, David Krikorian continues to stay out. We'll leave the camera on him. We're going to go side by side. We'll be back in just a couple seconds. Welcome back to Corn Country for the Endeavor Derby 300 live on the Virtual Grip Network. You're joining us now, lap 225 out of 300. We just had a slew of drivers on the lead lap come down pit road to top up on fuel. Those drivers look to be the first ones able to make it the rest of the way on that 1 tank of gas. Also coming down for 4 fresh fuel goods, that being Matt Thunhorst, Jacob Fife, key among them. Everyone pretty much in front of those guys has stayed out. Justin Morton, he's just barely on the edge of making it to the end of this race, but I think he just came down for fuel only underneath the second to last caution from now. Lots of different names and numbers, though, up there in the top 10 after this most recent caution.
And you remember Jeffrey Stanton, he got turned by Matt Thunhorst just a couple cautions ago. Well, now because of the flip-flopping strategies, he's found himself back up into the top 10 in 7th place, and he's actually the first driver that pitted on lap 209, the first of the drivers who maybe can make it on fuel. And this caution helps them to be able to stretch it a little bit longer. Not to say that these drivers won't come down again for tires, but again, fuel matters in these super late models because of the fact that it takes so long to put in them. So Jeffrey Stanton could be a driver to watch.
The only thing I'm worried about, though, for Stanton is he's got all that damage on the left front side of his car. JR, from a handling perspective, would you rather that be on the left side or the right side?
Rather be on the right side, just because you want that downforce getting into the corner to push on the left side, the left front of the car, and help the car rotate, turn better. But we'll have to see how it works out. It's definitely going to keep that left side tire cool. That could be an advantage if we get a really long run here.
It's going to get good, too. Business has started to pick up these last couple laps. That's why we've seen the influx of caution. It was largely a green flag race to this point. iRacing pace car pulls back down pit road. The Rocket Man, who qualified up pole, David Krikorian, pulls away from the rest of the field. Look out for Chad Mikas. This is the first time he's had this much clean air towards the front of the field.
Definitely no reason to hold back now. These guys are going to be going after it for the next 73 laps. Looking for a good long run here, hopefully, because we'll see a lot of stuff start to happen.
Oh, one car sideways. They're getting into the wall. I think that's Boomer Logan. Caution is out.
Yeah, that was
damn.
Yeah, Yeah, there was a whole mess of cars in turn 3 and 4. They were 3 wide, somewhat 4 wide, and William Logan got caught in the middle and got
Barrel rolling.
he got knocked in the rear end there by the 11, and he did a really good job almost saving that car, but just couldn't quite do it, and ends up on his lid.
It's not very often you see the underside of a super late model. This is a replay. So they're coming out of turns 3 and 4. It looks like Cody just gets into the back of Boomer there, and Boomer tries to save it, just runs out of track, ends up making contact again with Smith in the 11 car, forces him up into the wall, and they both just climb it.
Yeah, there's a couple of things going on there. It looked like there was a 3 wide situation, and Boomer just entering the corner a little bit higher than what he wanted to, had to pull the car down. In doing so, he lost momentum, and that's what got the 11 car of Cody into the back of him, turned him sideways there. Just a lot of stuff happening, and we're going to continue to see some of that same stuff on the next restart.
Well, and that is a classic case too of Cody Smith, a driver on brand new fresh tires, trying to storm up through the field, who was in the top 5 before earlier in this race, compared to Boomer Logan, who was on the oldest tires. He pitted on lap 202, so that was just a real mix of pace there, and just a bad spot that Boomer Logan was put into there, and unable to keep it going straight.
Reminds me of a classic rock song. Same old situation. We're going to take another break and be right back after this.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
The AOLL began online racing with Papyrus's NASCAR racing in the mid-1990s and is still going strong 27 plus years later on the iRacing platform. The AOLL offers racing action on 3 nights a week. Wednesdays is the Sportsman Series, Thursday TNT Series, and Sunday Cup Series with league veterans and Class A drivers. For more information on the AOLL, visit us at AOLLRacingLeague.com.
Welcome back to the Hawkeye State for the Endeavor Derby 300 live on the Virtual Grip Network. We're on lap 231 out of 300. The race has been largely green all day long up until about 200. And boy, guys, as the laps start to wind down, as does the patience. Pay window is getting closer to being open, and we've had really just a slew of cautions. These last 30 laps, we go green for about a lap or two, and then we get a wreck.
Yeah, business is definitely going to pick up. It already has, but I'm afraid it's going to get even worse now that we're inside 60 laps to go here. It's the end of the race. There's a lot of different guys that are running in positions that they haven't been in, and they're hungry. Everybody wants to win this race. This is prestigious. It's an endurance league event or race. They do not run many of these throughout the year. Everybody wants their name on the trophy.
And crucially, it's the last one as well for 2022, the calendar year. And of course, I expect that, these are always so much fun. They're always so much fun to call and race and even watch as a spectator at home. So no doubt there's going to be even more of these next year and for many years to come. Lights are still on atop the iRacing pace car, so we'll just take another moment here to kind of go ahead, just a recap of the race. The man currently in the lead led about the first 20 laps from the drop of the green flag. He qualified on pole. That's David Krikorian. Matthew Thunhorse started, he qualified second, took an EOL, went to the back of the pack. It only took him about, 80 or so laps to get up to the front of the field. Justin Morton led about 30 laps. Matthew Thunhorse led from, maybe lap 70 or so to at least about lap 190. He also led at the halfway point, got the below the double yellow league $25 for being the leader at the completion of the halfway mark, that being lap 150. And ever since then, they went back down pit road. David Krikorian took a little bit less fuel, I would assume, than Matthew Funhorst. That put him back out front on a restart, and he's basically hasn't looked back since then. He's been leading all throughout these caution laps. Now getting ready to go back to green flag racing. iRacing pace car going to make the hard left turn this time by, and then it's really up to David in terms of when he wants to restart the race in that little Geico restart zone. Foot on the loud pedal pretty early. Caught most of the field sleeping. It continues to dwindle down. The more wrecks we have, the smaller the field gets. Really wide. 3 wide into turns no 1 and 2. Look at Chad Mikas on the high side. How about Matt Telder, too? Really interesting to see what Mr. 10th place does towards the end of this.
Yeah, definitely. He's got himself in great position up to 3rd right now. Going to try to dig and get those last 2 spots for the end of this race.
And look at Joshua Stanton after being spun out there by Matthew Funhorst down the backstretch. He's all the way up. He's still, I think, in 6th position in the 61 car. Make that top 5.
Yeah, he's still making that car work pretty well, even with that damage we spoke about. Almost a 3 wide situation there as we're watching on the screen with Krobach.
Still 3 wide there.
And Funhorst is the first driver on the newest tires who pitted on lap 222, so he's the driver to watch coming through the field here.
Going to get blocked just a little bit there by the 84 car. He's going to have none of it. Going to go all the way down to the bottom. Look at Justin Morton, high, wide, and handsome.
Yeah, and this is going to be the frustrating thing for the 8 as he tries to come back through the field, is that he's going to have to do that on the bottom of the track. Now, he has fresher tires. He has a little bit more grip, but those guys on the outside are going to have a lot of momentum to try to hold him off.
Yeah, Matt's having a really tough time even getting around the number 84 car of Kyle Cooper. Mr. Evie likes Pokemon. Legend has it he has a Mr. Even has a Eevee toilet seat cover. Collectible. Limited edition. Caution flag once again.
Yeah, it's Brandon Wengert as he got up on the wall in turn 2. He just lost it coming off of 2. Actually involved Michael Stroll in this. Another one of those drivers trying to get up through the field who had pitted. You see there the 3 car gets loose. There's Michael Stroll passing by. And I thought the 3 was going to save it.
Going for that $15 reward of the best paint scheme, especially that Dale Earnhardt throwback. It's really hard to count out a Dale Earnhardt throwback, especially that one too. It looks so good.
Yeah, definitely one of the iconic paint schemes that he drove with the big plus on the hood. Always a very cool paint scheme and got him his biggest win.
Daytona 500, 1998. It's another replay. This gets a little bit loose. Of course, nowhere for Michael Stroll to go.
Yes, Stroll did a very nice job not overcorrecting or even losing it toward the inside wall. He was able to continue on the apron there and come back up onto the racing surface in turn 3. So great job to keep his car intact.
Again, this is about the 3rd caution in a row where we've had about 5 or 6 or so cars deciding to make a pit stop during the caution. So we have not seen lately a huge amount of cars going down pit road at once. It's just kind of these little splits of cars going down. So, and the longer and longer drivers decide to stay out, the more they're kind of forcing their hand to continue to stay out because they have to make sure they have enough time to get back through the field.
That's right, Kenny. At this point, these drivers are starting to make their beds. At some point, you're just going to have to lay in it. And if you're some guy like David Krikorian, I don't know if he can make it to the end of this thing on fuel. He might need to come back down pit road for a splash. All these cautions are certainly going to help him.
Yeah, they definitely are, and man, I really wonder about his strategy though up front, him and Mikas, because they're really fast and they can hold on to these lead spots for quite some time. But you know, if they do end up losing that lead, I just have a feeling it's going to be at a point where it's going to be too late to decide, okay, I'm going to pit now and kind of reset. I don't know if they'd be able to recover that track position.
Yeah, I agree with Kenny there. I think the best shot that Krikorian probably had is if we had a really long run there, because it would have taken the guys with new tires a lot longer to come through the field and chase him down. Now that we've had a lot of small cautions here, it's given those guys with tires track position, and I think he's going to be in a really bad spot once we go green.
Lights are still on top of the iRacing pace car. We'll see if they go out this time by.
Again, that's kind of the danger, though, as well, about deciding to come in for that pit stop, is being shoved into the mess of traffic with drivers that are completely on different tire and fuel agendas, drivers that have been on different paces throughout the night, and drivers that are increasing their aggression level as we get closer to the end. So it's a dangerous spot to be in. Thunhorse has done a good job of getting closer and closer to the front, but other drivers have not been so lucky.
Yep, light's still on atop the iRacing pace car, so we're still about 1 lap removed or so from going green this next time by. You ever find yourself with not much to do on a Saturday night? You can, of course, always catch coverage of the Bootleg Racing League's Super Late Model Series. You can join us 9 p.m. Eastern every week on Saturday night as the BRL gang races asphalt short tracks all across America. You can join hosts Bill Soupzon and John Hine as they bring you flag-to-flag coverage and put a smile on your face at the same time. And of course, in just a couple weeks here, we're going to be restarting both that season and the BRL Dirt Street Stock season. And of course, goes live every Friday night at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time. Watch the Dirt Street Stocks. They go across the entire country as well. You can join myself, DJ Clark, and John Hine. It's always a lot of fun. JR, you were just in that race. Of course, we're about half the state away, still in Iowa at Knoxville.
Yeah, definitely. Probably the last dirt race I'll be running for a while, but there's definitely a lot of big-name dirt drivers that are in that series, so definitely something great to watch. And BRL moving forward is actually going to be running a lot of dirt on Friday night, so a lot for someone to tune into if they find themselves with nothing to do on Friday.
Yep, and of course, as soon as the NASCAR Cup Series season starts again, every Tuesday night at 8:50 p.m. Eastern, you can catch myself, JR, and Kenny as we broadcast the Pretty Good Racing League. If you know, it's pretty good. You should watch it. No chase format, no stage racing, no gimmicks, just straight up racing. iRacing pace car pulls down pit road. Green flag flies through the air. It's still David Krikorian who puts his foot on the loud pedal. Really good launch from him. Boy, Chad Likas and old Mr. 10th place Matt Teldra getting super close to dooring each other down the front stretch.
Yeah, tight racing up off of turn 2. Almost a 3-wide situation there. The 69 wanting to look to the inside, but deciding not to do that. Excuse me, 61 car.
And they're still 2 by 2. Now remember, guys, at the beginning, how everybody got so single file really quickly, and now it's not that case. Everybody is staying 2 by 2, trying to grab as many spots as possible. You see Thunhorse there kind of in a line of cars on the bottom, trying to get clear so he can maybe make a move on the 61, but he's got to get clear of the 69 first.
And how about the 15 car of Justin Morton, the TDR machine, just behind these guys? He's currently running in the 7th position. He's had enough of running back outside the top 10. He's finally on a charge up towards the front of the field, and lots of these guys pretty much holding on to every spot tooth and nail.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that I'm paying attention to is that we've got Jeffrey Stanton back in front of Matt Thunhorst. Even though that contact earlier was nothing intentional, you got to wonder if Jeffrey is thinking the same thing or not, and how hard is he going to race Matt here?
Yeah, Matt's going to try to set up a pass coming off the corner this time by. Not able to gain enough ground on him. Does Matt go to the inside or the outside here? He's looking to the outside. We'll see if he cuts back down low. Not quite a good enough run up off the corner, but he's going to get close. Look at Joshua start wiggling.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to let him by easily. I think he's going to race him pretty hard here based on that move on the front straightaway.
Oh, he's going to get a little bit wide there. This might open the opportunity for Thunhorse down the bottom. Thunhorse really needs to pick up his pace if he wants any chance of getting back up to the front of this thing before the checkered flag flies.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is definitely what the leader wants. He needs some good green flag racing and some of these guys with the fresher tires being held up here.
Stanton's also looks like on the attack ahead of him, too.
Well, and only 2 cars behind Thunhorse is Jacob Fife, who's on the exact same strategy, so Thunhorse needs to go.
Well, Kenny, talk about that strategy between 2 guys. You want to be the first one on that strategy because if that same guy in your strategy gets around you, it's going to be almost impossible to pass him, right?
Yeah, I mean, because in theory, you need to basically pretend that whatever strategy you pick is the race-winning strategy. So anybody who is running the exact same strategy as you need to be the leader of it. Because if it all works out, theoretically, that would be the race for the lead. So Thunhorse needs to make sure he keeps at least ahead of the 36, but at this point, you know, the leader Krikorian's looking really good out there. He's not really losing that much ground to the cars around him, but he's still got that 3-car buffer between him and the cars on slightly fresher tires.
Yeah, and the worst part for Thunhorst is he gave up that second place track position to come down pit road and fill up on fuel so he could make it to the end about 30 laps ago. But all the caution laps basically mean Krikorian might be able to make it to the end of the race. Whoa, look at the contact between the 61 and the 2. That's going to allow for Thunhorst to get to the outside. Joshua Stanton just barely got in the back of Mr. 10th place Matt Tildren. Look at Matthew Thunhorst picking up the scraps from all those spots. Jacob Fife as well.
Oh, and there's a spin coming off of 4, guys. 13 goes around. There's no caution at this point.
Nope, yellow flag is in the air. Let's see if Matthew Thunhorst has scored ahead of the 2-car now. Looks like he's going to let it by.
It looks like the cause for caution, I think, is going to be the 13 car of Blake Gordon. I was looking to see if there was any other incident around the track. Didn't see any. And this really hurts Krikorian here because it gave Matt Thunhorst a couple of spots and also will basically nullify the lead that he had as well, and we'll reset again. But there you go, the replay. Gordon just loose again off of turn 4. These cars have been struggling with that all night long.
Ryan, if we could get a replay of what happened going into turns 1 and 2 that last lap, because it was hectic. There's another look at Gordon going around the 13 car. Really hard to control these cars. And oh, look, the entire field going down on pit road. Will continue to update you folks at home as we try to get another couple replays of what went on before the caution flew, because it was absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, so this is, oh, here we go. Here's the replay we're looking for. There goes the 2 car there flying through the apron.
Yeah, Stanton just kind of the back of him and back off so he could give him time to save it. I wonder too, all these guys on pit road, does Matt Thunhorst maybe have to have the opportunity to take much less fuel than anyone else?
Well, they are on pit road now. 3 cars actually stayed out. Treywick, Adam Wood, and Casey Shue all stayed out, and yes, it looks like Matt Thunhorst will win the race off pit road. And oh, Krikorian, look at all the cars that are going to pass him because of him having to take pretty much a full fuel load.
How about that 14 car as well? Burger King machine. And oh, look at Justin Morton. He might have a penalty for speeding on pit road or something. He's going very slow towards the inside of the track. Interested to see what that is for.
And he only took 2 tires on that stop as well. Actually, quite a few drivers, I think, only took 2 tires there.
Yeah, really digging this Burger King scheme out of Jacob Glodich here. That's I always love the Burger King paint schemes, even dating back to Joe Nemechek's number 87 car. Yeah, Justin Morton back on pit road. What this is about. Sometimes if you get a speeding penalty, Kenny, doesn't it just make you go to the end of the longest line?
Well, it could be that, or, you know, in some cases you'll end up serving a penalty under green, but it wouldn't be a case where you come back down pit road. I think he's going to come back down and take left side tires right here, is my guess. We'll have to see here. That, yep, there it goes. So Jack's going up. So he took right sides first time, left sides this time, and it might be because maybe he does have an end of the line penalty, and he's going to just say, well, since I'm going to be starting last anyway, I might as well come back in and take those other 2 tires.
Well, we're going to see how everything plays out with the drivers staying out and with the drivers that maybe might have taken only 2 tires. There's a lot of cars now in terms of drivers who pit between Matthew Thunhorst, the winner of the race off pit road, and David Krikorian, the man who entered pit road in first place. We're going to take a quick break here from Corn Country. We'll be right back after this.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone, and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Gentlemen, start
Green, rolling. In your track. Check it up.
Welcome back to the Endeavor Derby 300 live from Iowa Speedway. You're watching the Virtual Group Network as we see who gets ready to be crowned King Colonel. iRacing pace car heads down pit road. Leader Blake Trewick puts his foot on the loud pedal, starts to scream away from the field. The first three drivers did not come down pit road under the last caution. Matt Thunhorst took 2 tires, as did a couple of the drivers behind him. Pole sitter David Krikorian came down pit road. He took 4 tires. Oh, caution flag flies once again. This is exactly what you want to have happen if you're Blake Trewick.
Yeah, Stanton with a pretty much started as a single car spin and ends up hitting the outside wall and actually ends up collecting Matt Telder as well. There you see, as again, that's just the danger of being put back in traffic there. And these drivers really pushing the issue on these restarts. And JR, talk about quickly about how sensitive these super late models are on fresh tires on these restarts. You're pushing as hard as you can, but the tires have grip, but it's a very fine threshold.
Oh yeah, absolutely. In these super late models, any of the iRacing cars, they tend to have a lot of grip on fresh tires, but these super late models with cold tire temperatures, it's a really fine line. If you run the perfect line, do not oversteer the car, do not over throttle the car will be extremely fast. But if you just step over that bounds just a little bit with either one of those, the steering or the throttle, the car will come around extremely quick. It's almost like being on ice when that happens. So definitely these guys have to wait until those tire temps come up before they really start to push it. But at the same time, like we've talked about, when they are under caution on these restarts, that's when everybody's grouped together. Everybody feels like it's the best chance to make passes on multiple cars. So guys are going to be pushing hard, and we're probably going to see more of this, unfortunately, guys.
Yeah, it's kind of if you watch the Bootleg Racing League Super Late Model Series on Saturday nights, you'll know that the drivers always have one set of tires only through the whole race. So if we get late restarts in that series, a lot of times that's about when the drivers put on their fastest laps on those late restarts, because of the fact that those tires already have temperature put into them and they're cooled off a little bit, but they're not cold. Whereas here, you're seeing drivers with brand new fresh tires late in this race with the track temp the coldest that it's been all night long, and the aggression level as high as it's been all night long. So it's kind of it can be a recipe for disaster.
Well, there's also the added factor too for us in BRL competition on Saturday nights. We only get that one set of tires, so you do have to mind your P's and Q's in the early goings of the race to make sure you don't burn your stuff out before the end. So that is another factor of why, you get a caution 20 laps to go. We might just run our fastest laps of the night. So a lot of factors in how you wear your tires.
This is definitely going to help out those leaders up in front. With Trewick and Shu and Wood, they were able to maintain the top 3 positions, so they will have another restart here with less than 40 laps to go up in the front here, and they'll be fighting for that clean air as everybody else fights for position behind.
Yeah, Matt Thunhorst restarted in 4th, so he didn't make too much ground since that last restart. But David Krikorian, I think he gained about 1 or 2 spots since that. And of course, he's the first driver on 4 fresh tires. Also, look out too for Justin Morton in the 15. He's currently running in the 14th position. He's another one of those guys with 4 fresh feel goods. Another one of those drivers. He's really good if he wants to be in a short run. So I'll look out for him to make his way back inside the top 10 before this thing is over. But most importantly, you want to finish on the podium. That's the only spots that really get paid out at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing, talking about the tires and the way that they react throughout a run, especially at the beginning of the run. So some of these guys that have only the 2 tires from the pit stop that were just made, they want to have as many cautions happen as possible, because those tires are going to be pretty equal to everybody else for a couple of laps while the tire temperatures are still in that good range. But after that, the 4 tires are really going to prevail. So some of these guys like Matt Thunhorst, they're going to hope that we get some more cautions, because if we get a run from here to the end of the race, I've got to think that Krikorian with the 4 fresh tires is going to be able to have the best lap times toward the end.
Lights are out atop the iRacing pace car, so the field will be relinquished back into the control of Blake Trawick before we get going green flag racing once again. Of course, it's his decision to restart the race when he wants to within that Geico restart zone. And iRacing added that this past year, and it's really changed the game in terms of late race restarts, because it really gives the leader the opportunity to kind of just narrow up where he wants to restart this thing, and kind of helps everybody just sort of stay on the same page. Trawick first, Shue second, Wood third, Thunhorst fourth, Cooper in fifth. iRacing pace car makes a hard left turn down pit road into the Geico restart zone for Trawick. He puts his foot on the loud pedal. They're spinning down to the infield. Staying green so far.
A lot of tire spin there from the old tires, and a big
Thunhorst looks
mess.
to be the big winner.
Yeah, definitely.
And it looks like Adam Wood took out Kyle Cooper, I believe, or Casey Shue.
Adam Wood is he's damaged and limping, and looks like a decent gap here for Trawick. But the bad news is he's got Thunhorst already in second behind him.
Far into the wall off of turn 4, but we stay green. That could be a factor. It comes back out on the racetrack.
It's all down to Thunhorst. He's got a half a second now to run down Blake Trawick, who's currently the leader. Then Michael Krobach in third, Kyle Cooper in fourth. Crucially, David Krikorian in the top 5. Looks like he's going to take the position away right now for Kyle Cooper to move himself back up into fourth. He's only got about 34 laps before the end of this thing if he wants to make his way up there and take the lead back from Trawick.
Yeah, and he's got to make every pass just like he did there.
Wreck
Make
off
it
turn
count.
2. Got a big wreck
Good
off
eye
of
there,
turn 2, guys. So yeah, sorry about that, but big wreck off of turn 2. We're still wrecking. Michael Stroll still in. He was involved again. Matt Telder involved. Gladulich involved as well. Take a look here.
Kenny, you saw this. Talk me through it.
It looks like it was contact between Mikus and Stroll, 2 of the cleanest and smartest drivers we've had all night long. Just a little bit of a checkup there, and Stroll got turned, and it just stacked everybody up behind him. These restarts, man, if you have a car spin in front of half the field like that on these restarts, everybody's just so packed together, hard to avoid.
Big incident there for Stroll and Mikus. See for those 2 guys. Look at the replay.
Looked to me like Stroll getting down into the corner, trying to arc it in. His car looked like it got just a little bit free, and that was when Mikus really closed up and made the ground on him. Obviously not making purposeful contact there, because he backed out of it, and that created the big mess that we actually saw.
And that's going to stack everything up here once again. And this time on the restart, it's going to be Thunhorst on the front row. And this time behind him on the second row on the outside will be David Krikorian. So the 2 arguably fastest drivers all night long will both be heading up the outside line.
Before we get a chance to view the last, 30 laps of this race, we're going to take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors. We'll be back right after this.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
The AOLL began online racing with Papyrus' NASCAR racing in the mid-1990s and is still going strong 27 plus years later on the iRacing platform. The AOLL offers racing action on 3 nights a week. Wednesdays is the Sportsman Series, Thursday TNT Series, and Sunday Cup Series with league veterans and Class A drivers. For more information on the AOLL, visit us at AOLLRacingLeague.com.
Welcome back to the Endeavor Derby 300. You're watching the Virtual Grip Network. We're on lap 269 of 300. Got a pretty nice race going on so far. The first 200 laps or so, we got a caution about every 40 laps. Ever since about lap 200, we've been getting a caution every 5 or 6. But largely, this race has been pretty green. David Krikorian started on pole. He led the first 20. Then it was Justin Morton's turn. He led about the next 40 or so from there. And then Matthew Funhorse led from basically lap 70 or so to about lap 190. David Krikorian passed him on the race off of pit road. He led a lot of laps until maybe about 20 or so laps ago. Most of the leaders went down pit road to make sure they got the fresh set of tires and were guaranteed the opportunity to make it to the end of the race on fuel. Since then, Blake Trawick stayed out. He's been leading every lap under this just slew of cautions. Matthew Thunderhorst in second, Michael Krobach in third, David Krikorian is fourth, Kyle Cooper is fifth. Still got a lot of racing left to decide who gets the $50 purse for winning the race, who gets $20 for coming in second, and who gets $10 for finishing in third.
And Trawick is the last driver that's left out there on the older tires that pitted on lap 222. Everybody else pitted on lap 253 or later. So he is on an island all by himself here. And I feel like, at this point, if you're going for the money, you just, run this until you're not in the money anymore, and then come down pit road if you end up with another caution after that point. But I like Trawick's effort here. He's done a great job out in front. Let's see if he can keep the Mustang up in the lead.
I like that. The old Mustang, of course, cow-colored car, looks very busy until you get really up close and personal. You don't really figure out that it is the Mustang. It is cow-colored. Got Mr. Evie, Matthew Funhorse to his outside. Are out atop the iRacing pace car, so it's going to make the hard left turn down pit road. Trawick restarts the race. All eyes now go to Matthew Funhorse. He's got some of the freshest tires up front. He's got 2 fresh right side tires, although just behind him, David Krikorian, the man who sat on pole, has 4 fresh tires. So we'll see who wins out the race here. Look at Krikorian. He's got a power to the outside there. Michael Krobach, Matt Funhorse shoves the car down to the inside of Blake Trawick. Trawick's got a power though back on the outside. Look out for Krikorian. Krikorian's taking a look down to the inside. He's going to peak, but he's not quite close enough, JR.
Yeah, not quite there just yet, but he's going to have to clear Trawick as soon as he can so he can go after Funhorse. This is when he needs to make it happen. There's only about 26 laps to go.
Krikorian now slots in behind him. We're going to see if they can keep this thing going. Whoa, look out for Blake Gordon. Got a little bit sideways coming off at turn 4. Manages to hold on to it. Krikorian's on him, man. He entered that quarter all sorts of shallow. Look out for Jacob Fife, too, in the 36 car. He wants a run here at third position.
Yeah, Fife really didn't have a great restart. Really got bottled up behind Trawick, but now he's finally able to get that Pontiac to the inside of the Mustang and make a move for third place. And if he can clear relatively quickly, hope that the 2 leaders in front maybe mix things up a bit, that would easily bring the 36 car back into the mix.
Taking a look down to the inside. We'll see if maybe he can't do it on the outside. Haven't seen a whole lot of power moves like that. Look at Michael Krobach looking high, trying to get fresh air on the nose of that car. Oh, that was a big slide out of Chad Mikas there. Just inside of 25 laps to go now. It's still Matthew Thunhorst in first, David Krikorian in second, Blake Trawick in third, Jacob Fife fourth, Michael Krobach in fifth.
Guys, I'm really surprised at this point of the race we're not seeing more guys run up higher in the corner, especially 3 and 4 trying to get that big run. Now is the time to try to get everything out of it.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of marbles up there. Nobody continues to run basically in that third groove up the track. And this is usually late in this race. You see guys start running the wall in turns 3 and 4, at least up above the hash marks.
Could be a case of where this fixed setup might be tight, so that the bottom line is just the faster way around because it's the shortest way around, and it's just not worth it to have the momentum up top, unless of course you get side by side with somebody.
And look at Krikorian, Kenny. He's just painting that yellow line on the inside, able to put just a little bit of fresh air on the nose of that car.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if maybe Krikorian kind of just pulls out a random move here and decides to randomly change his line. You see him entering really shallow to get to the bottom a little bit earlier than the 8 car of Thunhorst. Just kind of sizing him up here. They're slightly running away from Trawick. Trawick's doing a fantastic job holding on to third place. I didn't think he would stay there for as long as he is, with the 36 setting him up. And as I speak, the 36 getting to the inside of Trawick down the front stretch.
Yeah, look at this battle for third here. That's Jacob Fife down on the inside of Blake Trawick. This should be an easy move to make given the tire differential, but boy, Kenny, you called it. Trawick doing a phenomenal job on those older tires. He's able to hold off Fife.
It takes a lot of skill to do what we're seeing Trawick do on the older tires, even if he's on that outside lane. But yeah, we have a battle up front. It looks like Krikorian's able to get to the outside of Thunhorst down the front straightaway.
Yeah, Thunhorst trying to just give him a little bit of nudge up the track. He's going to clear him going into 1 and 2. We'll see if he can get all the way out to the wall. And JR, we saw Krikorian kind of entering the corner a lot shallower than Thunhorst. Is that potentially going to chew up the right front tire?
It could, but Krikorian's being very, very easy on the tires by continuing to roll at the very bottom. And now he's going to make a run toward the inside into turn 1. Almost contact as they get down in there.
Yeah, tried to shortcut the straightaway. Thunhorst is really going to do his best to pinch him down low. Side by side, going down the back straightaway.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this works out. Obviously, Thunhorst in that outside lane, but Krikorian's been one of the best at staying on the bottom, not only on entry, but also on exit. So he's being very conservative on his tires.
Oh, he saw how easy it was. Maybe it wasn't easy. It just looked easy for, I believe, Blake Gordon, the 13 car, to basically hold off any kind of challenger to the inside when he was up top. Matthew Thunhorst looking to do the exact same. He's going to be now clear of the 66, but he's going to charge it down to the inside again.
Yeah, definitely being ran very tight here. Krikorian doing a great job to not make contact, but at some point he's going to get frustrated and start to get aggressive.
Yeah, JR, look at, we were riding on the back of the number 8 car, Matthew Thunhorst. It looked like David Krikorian had a little bit of damage to his nose. You can still kind of see it from this angle. Is that going to hurt his downforce?
Yeah, I noticed that as well, and definitely can, especially when he's directly behind somebody. So like he is now with the 8 car, but you see him ducking out as he enters the corner. That's one reason why he's doing that, to make sure he has extra air packing that left front fender down and getting downforce. You see the kind of run he gets by doing that.
Yeah, he's able to rotate through the center a lot better than Matthew Thunhorst, but I think Matthew Thunhorst knows what he has to do if he wants to hold David Krikorian off for the rest of this race. Just basically run about 1 car width or 2 up the track.
Yeah, Krikorian's going to have to get another good run on the outside, and instead of letting Thunhorst run him up the track, just hold him down. If contact's made, then I guess it's made, but you got to hold your ground. Thunhorst
got really loose coming off the corner. That's going to allow for David Krikorian to make a run to the outside in turns 3 and 4. Not close enough, though. He's going to try the old over-under.
Yeah, Krikorian didn't like that cut off on the corner exit. He definitely threw it to the inside, but I think he's going to have to find a way around the outside instead of using that inside line. Definitely the 8 car has hot rear tires, and he is sliding around on the corner exit, but that outside line is so good right now.
Or David's got to hope that Matt just makes an unforced error. And while these guys are battling, look at Blake Trawick, guys. It's like his tires aren't even that much older than these guys just ahead of him.
Yeah, this is bringing the entire top 5 back into this mix. Every time these leaders decide to get side by side, I mean, you got Trawick, Fife, and Krobach right on top of these two. And, if it's going to get to the point where if Krikorian doesn't make this pass, he could actually end up losing a spot to Trawick, even though he's the faster car. He's going to have to be mindful now. He can't just play offense. He's got to play offense and defense. You see him there kind of moving over a bit to take away the line of the 56.
Yeah, look at Matthew Thunhorst, too. He's just trying to bait him into taking that bottom line because he knows he can hold him off relatively easily on the top side.
Give it to Krikorian. He's been an extremely patient and clean race car driver up to this point. But when you know you have the faster car and you're being pinched down, at some point enough may be enough. So we'll have to see if he gets aggressive as we get closer to the end here.
Yeah, well, not to mention it's a difference between a $30 extra payout, the difference between first and second place.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of money on the line. Makes people push harder and actually find a little bit more. Those drivers that are extremely good can always find just a little bit more at the end.
10 to go, this time by the stripe. Matthew Thunhorst still in the lead. He's just baiting there. David Krikorian down to the inside. Krikorian's going to take the bait and look down there once again. But again, Kenny's got to be mindful that he doesn't just get freight trained down the bottom there.
Yeah, and I think also Matt is also kind of arcing the corner entry to prevent this move right here. He's trying his best to prevent Krikorian from, he's loose off of 4.
Oh, look out, Trawick.
But he's preventing Krikorian from entering even higher than him. If the 8 can enter higher and higher up, it's preventing Krikorian from throwing it down in there, because that's when Krikorian needs to make the move. If he wants to make a move on the outside, is drive it in extra deep on the outside line and keep his car on the right rear quarter of the 8.
And look at Jacob Fife. That loose problem off of turn 4 for Trawick allowed for Fife to get to his outside. He's just continuing to dogfight right now for that 3rd position on the high side.
Krikorian's going to hope that those guys continue to race hard for 3rd place, because that may open up a little bit of a gap and he can start to move around and try to make another run at the leader here.
If you're Krikorian, JR, are you worried right now that Jacob Fife might have fresh tires and he could get to your outside and do something?
Yeah, if you're Krikorian, you don't want anybody near you, because you need to be able to move around and try different things, try different lines. And once those cars behind you catch you, you can't do that. You see he's trying really hard pushing, but he's starting to wear his rear tires out in doing so.
Yeah, Jacob Fife might get to his outside here coming off the corner number 4. Whoa, a little bit of contact between he and Trawick. Fife now looks to the inside of Krikorian.
Fife's trying to make that move on the inside. He's going to slide up just a little bit, but Krikorian has that outside lane that has been very good so far.
If you're Jacob Fife, I have to imagine you're just going to want to tuck up in behind Krikorian right here to make sure you don't get freight trained by Trawick just behind you.
Yeah, I was almost
high five for Barty the Flagman. Sorry, Kenny.
Well, I was almost about to say, if you're Fife, maybe even get behind Krikorian and kind of push him up to the leader. The problem is, I think Krikorian might have used up the good in his tires. He just does not seem to have the rear end security that he once had. He's really fighting the car up off corner exit. Not sure he's really got enough to challenge the 8 car again for the lead, so it might be no choice for the 36 but to push here.
Now we'll see. I kind of look at Jacob Fife as being the only driver with maximum amount of tires left at this point, but we'll see what happens before the end of this race. 4 laps to go, that time by the stripe. Krikorian, though, continues to just, get that rear axle a little bit too slippery coming off the corners. He charges it into turns 3 and 4, though.
He's had to hold his car down way too long while he was underneath the 8 car and has used up the rear tires just a little bit. He may have a little bit more speed, but I don't think he's got enough to get around him at this point, closing in on 2 to go.
This might be one last charge for Krikorian, though. They're going to come by the flag stand to get the old peace sign from Barty the Flagman. This time by 2 laps to go.
Problem too here is that, with him entering the corner extra shallow, he's having to turn the wheel a lot more than Matt Thunhorst in the middle to the exit, which is really going to magnify that looseness coming off the corner.
2 laps to go, that time by. This next time by the flag stand, they're going to get the white flag. Matthew Thunhorse still have 0.2 of a second advantage over Krikorian. Krikorian shoves it into the corner. He gains a lot on corner entry, but he loses it all on corner exit. Does a good job to maximize the pace. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go. Krikorian shoves the car down to the bottom one last time. Thunhorse allows him to get the space just a little bit. They're going to come off the corner almost side by side, just waiting to get that call to the inside. Thunhorse is going to steam through turns 3 and 4. Krikorian tries to get as close as he can to the old bump and run, throws it up in the center. Not going to be able to make it happen. Matthew Thunhorse gets crowned King Colonel here in Iowa.
Yeah, great job there by Matt Thunhorse, being able to kind of read the line that Krikorian wanted to take there. And we saw, I was wondering if Krikorian was going to try to make the high side work, and he was trying that. Matt Thunhorse, great job taking that line away and kind of following him back down the track to really prevent Krikorian from either going high or cutting down low. Good job.
After completing all 300 laps here in the Endeavor Derby 300, the Endurance League events, we're going to take a quick break to let iRacing timing and scoring do its thing. When we come back, we're going to go through the entire finishing order and interview our top 3 finishers, as well as tell you folks at home who won the best scheme and show today. We'll be right back.
Here, J.R. Shepard dives down to the inside, trying to see if he's able to get a little bit of that tack that Brandon Proudfoot has been getting up at the front of the field. 10 laps to go here at Port Royal.
Yeah, definitely not making a huge ground here on Brian. Brian's able to maintain that gap.
It's Justin Morton back into second with J.R. Shepard somehow taking over the lead. I have no idea.
These guys, you see Scott kind of using up all that momentum. Got to enter the corner wide. I expected him to kind of cut back low. See lap car down on the inside. George overshoots the corner. Scott puts that car just where he needs to on the middle. It's going to be a drag race through the kink. Thomas George gets loose. Scott Eckridge has the opportunity to come home with a win right now. Side-by-side drag race.
Oh, wow.
Scott Eckridge, 5/1000ths of a second. Welcome back to the second annual Endeavor Derby. 300 laps live from Iowa Speedway. You're watching the Virtual Group Network. Matthew Thunhorse just came home to take the checkered flag here. David Krikorian started on pole. He'll come home in second place, followed by Jacob Fife in the number 36 car. Michael Krobach in the 72 finishes in fourth, followed by Blake Trawick, who did a phenomenal job to hold on with his extremely older tires compared to the rest of the field. Casey Shue comes home in sixth position, followed by Stephen Moore in the 7 car. Nice run for him. Blake Gordon finishes in 8th. Did a great job to hold off any contender on the high side. Justin Morton of the 15 machine comes home in 9th, followed by Chad Mikas, who rounds out the top 10. Matt Telder, Mr. 10th place, finishes 1 spot short of it in 11th. He'll, of course, go home with $20 for being the driver in 10th place on lap 100 and 200 as they're completed. Thanks again to 10 Questions with Boomer Logan for that money for him. Kyle Cooper comes home in 12th place, followed by Jacob Glodich in 13th. Jonathan Gervin finishes in 14th, followed by Cody Smith in 15th. G.W. Wright comes home in 16th place, followed by Jeffrey Stanton in 17th. John Gordon finishes in 18th, followed by Michael Stroll in 19th, and Adam Wood rounds out the top 20, JR.
Yeah, coming home in 21st place tonight, we have Brandon Wingard. 22nd place will go to William Logan. Finishing 23rd is Dennis Faircloth, who we saw do some pretty spectacular wall riding tonight multiple times. 24th place is Josh Laston. 25th, Carl Henderson. 26th place goes to Brandon Bernhardt. 27th place, Daniel Foss. 28th will be Matt Shanoski. Finishing 29th is Kevin Haas. And rounding out your field in 30th place is Braxton DeWeese.
Thanks, JR. Standing by now, we have the big winner here tonight. I'm going to go ahead and dub him the Colonel King, of course, Iowa being the Corn State. Matthew Thunhorse, winner here tonight, buddy. You get a $50 payday.
Honestly, after that finish, Austin, my God, I'm too exhausted to even think about the money. That was the hardest I've ever raced on this service ever.
Oh, buddy, we saw you come down pit road pretty early on and basically call your shot. You took 4 tires, raced up through the field, and then, crucially, your last time down pit road, you took only the right side tires.
Yeah, the way this race had been going, it's whichever between me and David got out front. That was going to be who was going to lead that standard, win this race. And, so then when I had that, I don't know what happened with me and I think Jeffrey there for the lead, but when that happened and it gave David the lead, I was like, okay, I've got to do something different to get back in front of him. And then that's when the cautions kind of fell or kept falling and kind of leading to him. And I was like, I just went with 2 tires, and the only way I'm going to win this is if I get out front before he did. And I got lucky with Blake getting the wall there on that one restart, and that restart before that where something happened between, I forget, me and I think it was Casey Shue, and if I screwed up and wrecked the field there, that's on me, but I hope it wasn't. But just I had a couple things break against me, and then I got lucky with getting out in front of David there and getting a lead, and at that point I just left it all on the track, and you saw the result.
Yeah, you did a phenomenal job to hold off David before the end of the race. Matt, before I let you go, I have to ask, who do you have to thank for taking the win here tonight?
Austin, just I have to thank everybody at Endurance League events for putting this on, all the work that I think Brandon put in. Who's the other one that does this? It's Michael Strobach, or is it? Oh, who is
Michael
it?
Stroll.
Michael Stroll, okay, thank you. Him as well for putting this on, all the other leagues that are part of this, and everybody coming out tonight. And it was a lot of fun, and just all the numerous sponsors. I hope you all covered them, because like I said, my mind's shot, and just you all at Virtual Grip, you Austin, Kenny, JR, Ryan for putting it on, and just everybody for tuning in and watching. I hope it was a show for them, and it was a blast to be a part of, so I hope they enjoyed watching. I hope everybody else enjoyed being a part of it. So, just thanks to everybody. And again, thanks to the sponsors. Hopefully you've all been covered, but thanks again for helping cover the cost of this, and hope everybody enjoyed.
Well, yeah, buddy. I mean, I forgot, too, you were leading it halfway. That's an extra $25 bonus. I believe that was below the Double Yellow League for the extra $25. So you come out of here with at least $75 to your name. Maybe if you didn't already have one, you could finally buy that EV toilet seat cover, buddy.
Oh, yeah, it'll probably help cover the treadmill I just bought. That'll go in my race room, so it'll go to something good, but yeah.
Oh, sounds good, Matt. Congratulations on the win. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Live this one up, buddy. Celebrate.
Thanks, Austin.
That was Matt, Mr. EV Thunhorse, taking the big win here tonight. I believe, JR, you're standing by with David Krikorian, the man who qualified on pole and came up just one spot short of that.
Indeed I am, Austin. David, man, congratulations on winning the pole tonight and then continuing to lead a lot of laps in this race. Just walk us through your race and specifically the strategy there at the end, taking the 4 tires.
I was honestly trying to kind of position myself to where I wanted at least a set of tires left for like 20, 30 to go. And we were just getting yellows every 50 laps, and at that rate we were going, I would have burned I would have had one set to go with like 50 to go, I think. But with the way the yellows came out, we came in for a set of tires like right around 45, 50 to go, whenever that last round of stops was, and we were in the position to take right sides at the end at the very least. But just with the way the yellows kind of came out, you needed the track position, and with the way the state of iRacing's dynamic track is still at the moment, track positions so much.
It definitely looked like it was extremely hard to pass out there tonight, especially as you caught the faster cars. Was there anything different at the end of that race that you had kind of hoped for? Less cautions, more green flag racing, anything that could have helped you there?
Honestly, probably just track position, but the one thing I probably needed to do, the one time I got beside the 8 car on that last run on the top, I needed to be right on his door through 1 and 2, and I didn't do that. And I couldn't get up on his outside again after that because it was really difficult to pass on the bottom.
It definitely looked like a rough night as far as being able to pass for sure, but man, you still came home with a 2nd place finish, being able to come away with the money there. Before we let you go, David, anybody you want to thank for tonight's run?
Thank Nick Dawson and the rest of Rookie Esports, John for putting my car and Steven's car together. We almost got a dub in the Dubby car, but we got him next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Great job, man. Great to see the good, clean racing from the guys up front tonight. Really appreciate what you put on for us here, man. Appreciate that, and congratulations on that second place run.
Thank you.
And that was David Krikorian, our second place finisher tonight. With that, I believe Kenny is now caught up with our third place finisher, Jacob Fife.
I have Jacob Fife, our third place winner, so winner of $10 for that, and our Big Evil Designs best paint scheme of the race. Us in the booth, we decided that, Jacob, your paint scheme was the coolest to us, so we picked you for that. I love Pontiacs myself, and we love the Kenny Wallace Busch Series throwback, so congratulations on that, and walk me through your race, man. You started deep in the field, but you were really methodical and just kind of marched your way slowly up through the field.
Yeah, it was definitely a wild race, kind of a little bit of a roller coaster going, starting in the back. I wrecked on my second lap, so that was unfortunate. But was able to make some nice moves and really, you kind of really can pick some lanes and develop runs and kind of pick your way through a little bit. It's just really hard racing, though, fun racing, but it is after a certain point really hard to pass and kind of just have to inch your way past people. So really fun. Tire strategy came in at the end. I thought Blake, who unfortunately got spun out at the end there, I thought he did an incredible job with having much older tires, being able to hang in there around that third, fourth position. I don't think I would have got around him if it wasn't for some stuff ahead of us that kind of gave me the outside line there. But yeah, just a really, really fun night. Like I said, pretty eventful and just really, really hard racing, which is a lot of fun to be a part of and have guys who can race clean and be able to mix it up.
Yeah, so we had a really good mix of green flag racing, and then we had some of those short runs at the end. Which do you think suited your style more? Did you enjoy more of the longer 50-plus lap runs, or did you like the restarts? And talk me through your strategy too at the end, because I mean we were seeing just little groups of 5 or so cars pit over numerous cautions, so it seemed like pit strategy near the end was all over the place.
It was, yeah. I mean, you kind of had to guess a little bit. I had originally, because we had such long green flag runs at the beginning, I thought with about 70 to go I was going to come down for the last time, but then we started having more cautions, and guys were taking tires behind me who weren't that far behind me. And so it's just kind of, you just had to make a guess at it. I ended up coming back down. We had that one run, I think lasted maybe 15 laps or so, and I went ahead and came down the last time to take 4 tires there. A lot of guys took 2. I thought I was in trouble with that. But, things kind of fell into place to get me in a decent position with the final run that was 30 laps long. I think I did appreciate the longer runs we had. I thought if you knew you were going to kind of plan for the longer run, you could save tires, kind of be patient. It was really hard to judge your center off traction. A lot of guys lose off the corner, which is fun, but it's you have to really baby it, work throttle control, and it just really just manage it as much as you can, and that really gave the opportunity to kind of differentiate yourself between some guys who maybe pushed it a little bit harder and those that didn't.
Well, you did a really good job of managing your race tonight, coming home in the bronze position, third place. Who would you like to thank for the run tonight?
Yeah, a lot of people to thank. Well, I guess first of all, thank you guys for picking me for the paint. I thought there was a lot of cool cars out there, so thank you for that. But beyond that, just thank Stroll and for putting on the series. It's a fun series to do, to kind of do different things. I haven't run the super late model in years, so this is a pretty fun event to do. Thank you guys for doing the broadcast, and then I'm going to shameless plug here, since I run the Integrity Racing League that runs on Monday and Tuesday nights now. Xfinity Car on Monday nights. That's Stroll's running the adminship for there, and then we do the next gens on Tuesday night as well. Had some really cool stuff. Hopefully over the off season we'll be able to announce. If you want to run either of those series, Integrity Racing League, we have a Facebook page, Discord, all that fun stuff. And ready for the 2023 season, so hope to see you out there.
Yeah, it sounds exciting. Well, congratulations on the third place run and the $25 payday. We'll catch you later.
Great. Thank you, guys. You have a good night.
That was our third place finisher, Jacob Fife, and we'll send it back upstairs to Austin Belkey to close out.
Thanks, Kenny. Also, an announcement to make as well. There was one sponsor as well, Wood Hill Supply. They were going to pay out $10 to the highest finisher who completed the race with 0x. Only 2 drivers who did that. That was the 15 car of Justin Moore. And with the nice $10 able to cover their entry fee, that would be the number 69 car of Stephen Moore. So only 2 drivers out of a possible 30 finish the race with 0x. So Stephen, $10 go to you thanks to Wood Hill Supply Incorporated. We'd like to thank them for sponsoring the race, as well as some of our other sponsors, Big Eagle Designs. They paid out that $15 credit, of course, to the best paint of the race. We decided up in the booth to give that to Mr. Jacob Fife for his Kenny Wallace throwback scheme. And below, the double yellow league for the $25, of course, the driver who led at the completion of lap 150. That went to the way of our winner, Matthew Thunhorst. And 10 questions with Boomer Logan, excuse me. I'd like to thank them as well as you at home for watching. The next Virtual Group Network broadcast will be tomorrow, December 10th, where the BRL Super Late Model Series takes on Five Flag Speedway. That goes live at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. This has been a pretty good production of the Virtual Group Network. On behalf of myself, Austin Belkey, my boothmates J.R. Shepard and Kenny Kibbe, our director Ryan Seneker, and everyone else behind the scenes at the Virtual Group Network, thank you so much for watching. Have a happy holiday season, and good night.